Okay, I hope we've got audio right there. Perfect. Very well. Shabbat Shalom, my most esteemed friends, honorable judges, LVE tribe, as well as everyone else accompanying us. On this rather precious, cloudy day of Shabbat from California, the US of A. Today being the seventh day of Aviv, the first month of the year 5995. We've changed to a new year. This belongs or corresponds to the 25th of April of the year 2026. I'm trying to check if you can see well here, because sometimes the light overshadows the numbers there. This is another chapter of Wisdom and Discipline, part 64. We're testing all of the changes of audio, even this morning, that we had a couple of little problems. I believe it should sound spectacular. We did some tests. It was the best setting that we found. We got other filters, and I think it is spectacular. You'll tell me how it sounds, but I did my own testing, checked them out, and it sounds like never before. This microphone does hyper wow. This morning it wasn't sounding, a little problem. We solved it with Jacob, but I think it sounds spectacular. As they say, it sounds perfect. It is perfect, super spectacular, like I've never heard it before. And something else is that I changed the setting here, and the time of delay between what I speak and what you hear, it is half. It's cut in half. If there's a problem with the buffering or things like that, let us know later. But I believe now we have only a 15-minute delay, from 10 to 15-minute delay. It could be even faster, but we may have that problem that some of you may start to get some buffering. Here we are closer from what I speak and what you hear, and we've got medium distance, so then if there's any problem, let me know. We're 15 minutes delay only between what I speak and you hear. We're going to try out this new setup. I believe it sounds very well. I believe it sounds spectacular, with good volume and a crisp, clear sound. Very well. Let us begin by congratulating those who have had a birthday during this week, which are as follows: Dara Arilla Orozco Garcia, Colombia; Isaac Matsuyama dos Santos, Japan; Josue Ogando Castillo, Ecuador; Jorge Lima Ortiz, Mexico; Jenny Jasmine Hernandez, Mexico; Javier Rafael Sandronet Ramirez, Venezuela; Silvia Aceves Hernandez, Mexico; Alexia Montserrat Hernandez, Tapulco, Mexico; Nélida Fanny Quiroga, Argentina; and Isaac Miranda, El Salvador. To each and every one of you, a great big hug on behalf of all the members of the Eternal Truth. Many blessings, and we hope that it will be one of the last ones under the system that's nefarious. Another birthday during this week, which is that of Israel. Israel, the beast, has turned 78 years old. They've celebrated, all of them, and us too, because what's coming close is the moment of their old age and the end of life. Israel, which is the beast, has turned 78 years old. The eighth is 78 years old. The eighth king, which is one of the seven, which comes from the abyss, and only shows up to go back into the abyss, but into the eternal non-existence, their perdition. Very well. Next Shabbat is Pesach, just so you know. Next Shabbat is Pesach. And it'll be a Shabbat, so then we're going to have the gathering of every Shabbat, and then later we're going to celebrate Pesach. How do we celebrate Pesach? Contrary to what the norm of Pesach is, which is for all the Jews and all those who want to celebrate without leaven, or blah blah blah, we celebrate it with a good amount of leaven. So then we plan to have a food that is filled with leaven, because it means life. We're sick and tired that we celebrate a feast where they take the life away, where they take away the peace, the tranquility. Because precisely the scripture says that Pesach is to eat bread of affliction. In this whole world is affliction, and then we're sick and tired of the affliction. We're not going to celebrate eating affliction. We celebrate it in our way, the eternal truth's way, LVE way. How is that? By eating with leaven, with lots of leaven, lots of life, what there's never been in this world, life. And since LVE will bring life into the world, so then we start to celebrate and change what always worked nefariously against humanity. It is feasts that made us celebrate against ourselves, and we have changed them. So then next Shabbat, it'll be Pesach. Shabbat and Pesach. It's a dual Shabbat. So then plan, if you're of LVE and you understand what I speak, make a food that is notoriously filled with leaven. For example, pizza. A food that has lots of leaven, pizza. And I believe which is what we'll eat. I believe that it's the food that mostly represents. First of all, it's one of my favorites out of all of them. Pizza, for me, it's my favorite food. I have many within the preferred category, but pizza's number one. If you say, which is your favorite one? Pizza. Pizza. And so then, we're going to eat pizza, period. Pizza. I invite you, those of you who understand this, to eat the food that you consider, that you like, that is rich in leaven. If you're Jewish or Messianic, or you don't understand anything of what we understand, then don't eat leaven. Do with what the whole world has ever done and always leads them to death, without any hope whatsoever. Very well. And evidently, after Pesach begins, also, when the sun goes down on Saturday, which is Pesach, also the days of Matzah without leaven begin, which is 7 days without leaven, which is a nightmare. We celebrate the 7 days with leaven. So it'll be a menu filled with leaven the whole entire week. And also, it's also together with Sunday, the next day of Shabbat. Sunday is Bikurim. As it turns out, it falls during the week. So the next Shabbat, it'll be Pesach. As the sun goes down is the first day of leaven, and also the first day, the only day of Bikurim. So then the feasts, pretty much they're overlapping, and then we continue the whole week eating leaven during. The rest of the people don't eat leaven, even though people celebrated all this a month ago and all the rest. So then I believe that maybe some other group has our calendar, but if they don't, we could care less. We do what we care about. Let's talk a little bit about Boca. I think that all of you watched the game against River Plate, against the Chickens, in which up until today they're still crying. They haven't stopped crying because they're asking for the penalty in the last second of the game, which Blanco pushes a player he pushed the cuarta player from river and he falls. There's a fault within the area. And I said, oh no, I can't believe this. We played the game completely better than they did. We should have scored 3 goals. And now these guys are going to tie in this play with no sense because there's a fault where they push the player, which they can say that it's a fault. Sometimes they don't really count it. There's a whole bunch of them in the area, and they just get corners of people push and shove. And as it turns out, they didn't. I saw that they were going to call it. Then I heard the arbiter, they say he's from Boca. Paleta's his name. Poor guy, he has all these threats. They asked him to never direct River. We saw the play and we saw that there was a shove, but it's not enough for a penalty. Because actually the River game, he threw himself as if they had pushed him, and he's a lot bigger and blah blah blah. It's all interpretations. It would have been an injustice. Why? Because when they called penalty on us, when Paredes gives a spectacular pass to Menentiel, the ball hits twice, and when he hits the goal post, there is a player from River Plate whose name is Rivero, who extends his arm, trying to, not intentionally, he extends his arm and he stops the ball, a ball that's going straight into the goal. By the rule, without an interpretation, is that it is a yellow card because it is a play, a goal, a shot on goal, and a player unintentionally touches it with the hand and it's yellow. Due to how dangerous the play is, and it's a shot on goal. It would, if it had been intentionally, where he extends his arm and the arbiter interprets that it's completely intentional, it's red card. He's out of there. But since it's not intentional, it's yellow. Penalty and yellow. The guy already had a yellow card, so it was penalty and out of there, a red one. Something that the arbiter did not do, which is against the rules. We're talking about the final minutes of the first half. We're going to score more, 2 or 3 more after that. What happened? The arbiter didn't kick him out with no explanation, no matter what the chickens cry and say. Doesn't matter. By rule, that player should have had a yellow card. Plus, the other one he had, it was red. That didn't happen. So then I believe that the arbiter compensated by saying, I didn't kick your player out. Now you want me to give you a penalty in the last second when you don't even deserve it, when you didn't even kick a shot on goal. No, and the game ends. And they got even hotter. They're even more upset, crying up until now. That's the way it is. We beat them 1-0, and that it didn't end there. We played on Thursday, those of you who saw the game, with Defensa and Justicia, and we beat 4-0 with the team on the reserve, the bench, well, the B team, not category, but it's the reserve team, because we're waiting the starters for the Copa Libertadores. We play against Cruzeiro this Tuesday at 5:30 my time. 5:30 my time, we play against Cruzeiro. So then the coach, Ubeda, which I start to like more and more, I'll like him even more when he's a champion of the Argentinian championship, because he can win many different games, and that's fine. But we're not champions, then it's no good. He will be crowned being a champion. You can study, but if you don't graduate, you're nothing. So then, Ubeda will receive all of my love, and saying at the end of it all, you were a good coach. If we are a champion, this Argentinian, I'm not asking for the Libertadores, mind you, just the Argentinian tourney, and we'll see what happens. But I'm starting to have more grace for him. 14 games without losing, that's fine. We won 4-0 last time, and at the end he put in some starters, and of course the game quickly became a complete slaughter, an onslaught with goals. So then we're prepared for Tuesday. Let me tell you something. Tuesday we're in Brazil against Cruzeiro. If there's a game that we can lose, it's that one. If we lose, nothing happens. If we tie, it's excellent. Because out of the rivals, we beat two of the rivals. One in Chile, the Catholic University, and the other one, the Barcelona, we beat them as locals. So then this is the strongest team of those that we play. And we're going to play as visitors. So if we lose, nothing happens. I believe that we'll even win, but if we lose, and let me tell you, nothing happens. We have 6 points already in the group. It's like the group of the World Cups. We have 4 teams in our group, and we won 2 already. And then we have to receive Cruzeiro in our home, the Bombonera, and then we have a game at home with the Catholic University from Chile, and then we have to go to the Barcelona in Ecuador to play there against them, which will be a little more difficult also. But the most difficult game in the group, it will be on Tuesday. So then, and I believe we'll win. That's all I need to tell you. I think we'll win. If we lose, nothing happens. Very well. That is what I wanted to say. Don't miss out the game this Tuesday at 5:30. I haven't watched that one. Which one? No, I didn't watch it. Oh, I didn't see that. I saw many others. Not that one, though. I didn't see that one. Yeah, because the Monumental was set on fire. The chickens, they burned the Monumental. Right. Mine? Yeah. The 4-0, I mentioned it. River sets the Monumental quickly. When they went to B, they set the Monumental on fire. Now there was fire there already. It's they get too nervous when Dad comes to play in their field. Very nervous, very nervous. And they're still crying and crying and crying. And the penalty that we bought the game, we paid for the arbiters. The Alpha is a Boca fan and blah, 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 blah. When they received, I mean, if somebody can't speak about help, it's them. Very well. Shema Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, our God, Yahweh, one is. It is only one being, only one person. Understanding this concept, you understand the scripture. You start to understand who God the Creator is. You start to understand who came 2,000 years ago. You start to understand who is the Messiah. It could be he. Could he be the Messiah? No, of course not. Cannot be him. Absolutely not. Since he's always lied to us, the Messiah says, John 8:31-32, then Yeshua said unto the Jews that had believed on him, if ye remain in my word, then ye shall truly be my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, that Yeshua is the Mashiach, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Yahweh is saying this, impersonating the Messiah. Yeshua, or Jesus, when he came 2,000 years ago, he was not the Messiah. He was the God Creator, the only God, the absolutely unique and only God. There was no Son to send. There was no one else than him, himself, to come here. And he personified the Messiah, human. The Messiah, he was not, nor would he be. And the whole world misunderstands this because the world is concealed. Proverbs 25:2. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word. Yet the honor of the king is to search out honor or glory. It's just that they changed the word, but the same thing. Glory of the king is to search out the word. So then only the kings are the ones that can understand the word. No matter how much they read it, if they're not kings, they're not going to understand it. The question is as follows. There are some that have problem with buffering. When it's not charging, you can't hear it. It's like the video is charging, it's loading, or it sounds well. There's a lot more, a faster response since I speak and I read the text. It used to be 30 seconds, now it's 15 seconds. Perfect, apparently they say that there isn't. All perfect. It sounds perfect. I find that excellent. Finally. So then there is no evil that doesn't come through because of a good, because now it sounds better than ever. The whole world, absolutely the whole entire world will say, Jeremiah 16:19-21, Yahweh is the new God. This Yahweh. Yahweh is not the name of the Creator. My strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of tribulation, and to thee shall come the peoples from the ends of the earth, and shall say, only lies has been the inheritance of our fathers. How many peoples? All the peoples. Even those of the ends of the earth. That means everyone. Only lies was the inheritance of the earth. Vanity to which there is no avail. To which there is no avail, no profit whatsoever. If it is them that make their own gods, then they're not gods. That's why, behold, this time I shall show them, this time I shall make it be known unto them the strength of mine arm, and they shall know that my name is Yahweh. But that Yahweh is not Yahweh the Creator, but it's the new God, the new authority of the earth. Wisdom and Discipline, Part 64. The text of the invitation is Proverbs 8:6-9. In the textual Bible, it says, Hear ye, for I shall say excellent things, and open my lips for righteous things. My mouth shall say truths, for wickedness is abomination unto my lips. All the words of my mouth show justice. In them nothing there is perverse or twisted. They are clear for those who understand them, and righteous for those who find knowledge. Let's see if we have time to study Proverbs 8. Why do I say this? Because I have a question that I will develop, which is the second question that I'll develop, and it'll take time to develop it. And I like the theme of that question a lot, and it's a review for me that is marvelous of a prophecy that for us is absolutely incredible. The way that we've seen ourselves reflected and active in that prophecy. That's why, based on this question, I'm going to read that whole entire chapter. We'll see how much time we have, if we have time to study Proverbs. But let's go to the first question. The first question is kind of difficult. I corrected certain things. It's public. It's in last week's video, and it was written by someone by the name of Wendy's Rosaida Mercedes Linares. Which she tells me she's from the eternal truth, or a part of what she understands, and she likes the eternal truth. There are certain things that I corrected because I found them to be miswritten, and I believe I have understood the spirit of the question. It says, hello, I'll read it all together. Hello, greetings, Chris and lineage with glory to die. A question, but first, there is a saying that says that the end justifies the means. The question is it personal inspiration of the Messiah, in other words, you, to insult and disrespect Yahweh? Even understanding that the Creator has predestined you as the Elohim of justice? Or do you think that He Himself inspires you that? Maybe so that we repudiate Him, or to have that about the fear of Yahweh. I understand and I accept all of your messages and the changes from 2010 on, and I accept them still. But that worries me. At the end of it all, it'll all be a blessing. How can we be so upset with Him, in other words with Yahweh, if He subjugated us to all these beasts and curses and hell that we live through, to later bless us and enjoy the change? And then that's where she applies the end, justifies the means, or is everything a figurative language? Blessings for you and lineage in all of LV, Semper Fi. Well, I'll answer this question. If you, Wendy, ask me a question like that, it's because you still have something in your heart or in your way of seeing things, and you still think it's kind of harsh, the subject of how we speak and we refer to Yahweh and about Yahweh, or else you wouldn't ask a question like that. Like you're still asking whether it's okay if I insult Yahweh, or I speak ill of Yahweh, or if in the end of it all, the end justifies the means. If in the end He's going to give us everything, isn't it that in order to give us everything, He makes us go through this, and if He makes us go through this, then actually we should not insult Him but bless Him, because we have to see the end, because He's doing it for our own good. So then you invite me, or you invite us to rethink whether we're wrong or not by mistreating Yahweh so much and saying what we say and do what we do. If it's not that we are wrong, and that we should be able to understand that in the end of it all, since He's going to give us everything, we have to bear all this because it's for our own good. That's basically what I read in the question, and I'll start to answer. It says, once again, a question, but first of all, there's a saying that says the end justifies the means. This saying is true, the end justifies the means. I have to say yes and no. In certain things, sometimes the end does justify the means. I want to achieve something, and I know that it'll be difficult, it'll be a sacrifice, that word sacrifice. In other words, a great effort, or to say I won't get certain things to get to an end, and it says if it costs all this, I'll pay for it, I'll bear it, suffer, it doesn't matter, because I want to obtain this result or this product. So then, of course, the end justifies the means. Now, in other things, the end does not justify the means. It depends on what means you're using, and depends what things will take place in the middle. I want to beat that person, and so then a whole bunch of quantity of people have to die because I'm gonna carpet bomb them and kill a whole people to bring down a government. No, the end does not justify the means there, so it depends on what we're talking about. I like the phrase, I use it, but not all the means justify the end. In many cases, the end does always justify the means, because in order to get something good, it costs, like beauty costs. Because women and men, to have something beautiful in their body or whatever, it's not easy. It is not pleasant. It is effort, whether it's exercises, a program of diet, a whole bunch of things, even surgeries, a whole bunch of things that you have to do that costs, and it hurts. Because beauty, in order to obtain a result, it hurts. In order to obtain a title of something, it costs. And if it costs, it hurts. It hurts. It sacrifices sometimes of hours that you want to use for something else and fun. You have to use it to study. To sleep, you have to use it to study. You have to get more money to buy something. You're getting money together to buy a house or a car. You have to work more than what you wish. And it hurts and it costs, because you're trying to achieve an end that actually will cost you a lot. So then the end does justify the means. So then, yes, the end does justify the means, but not in every case. The end does justify the means. Now, the plan of Yahweh, I cannot analyze it entirely for you, because we don't know all the details, and there's no need for me to know all the details of this plan, what He has designed, in order for me to be able to judge if what we're feeling or judging is that way or not. All I know is that it took all of the health and life of humanity. The only ones alive are us at the end. The rest of our human brethren, our grandparents, great-grandparents are dead. So then if you say, in all this blood of billions of people, the end of when the 6 years of creation, in other words 6,000, does it justify to have done this whole massacre of deaths? Does it justify all of this lies that we've been subjugated and submerged in? This whole inventions of religions, of ways of thinking, all of these beasts that Yahweh gave them and suckled them and manipulates them, brings them up. Does that all justify? There's no way that I can justify Yahweh in my mind, even if he promises gold for me. Even if he promises everything, in the moment in which I say, you're promising it for me, then I justify you, then I'll stop being what I said that I am. I don't justify Yahweh under any point of view. I don't justify him. He cannot be justified. That is why the Messiah has a different spirit to the rest of the human beings, that all human beings justify. Those who believe in Yahweh, they justify Yahweh. The Christians justify him. How? They close their eyes to all the wickedness and blood spilled in the Bible, and on a permanent basis they deny it. It's deniism that is very highlighted. I've lived it. It's something horrible. They don't notice. They deny. The Jews, don't even mention. They deny. They justify God. They justify him. They justify him. They justify him. Humans are evil. Humans are evil. So then, I don't justify God in all of his works in anything. In fact, if he doesn't want to give us what he promised to give us, he can shove it well up his ass, because I don't justify him. There's no way for me to justify him. I am against the work that he exercised. If I weren't against it, and if you were not against what he has done, then you're in favor of what he's done. And if you're in favor of what he has done, then you applaud what Yahweh did, because you are waiting to be blessed by him someday, justifying all of the pain that humanity has suffered. So then I want you to think, and I'm talking about very deeply, do I justify Yahweh, thinking that he will give me an authority? If you justify Yahweh thinking that he will give you some sort of authority, then you're just as evil as he is, because you're doing so only out of gain. And I could give a fuck that dog should gain. Even if I had to disappear now and forever, I could give a flying fuck, because it'll be in the mind of that son of a bitch what he did. And that there was a group of people that opposed him in his wickedness and his fucking plan. So then, I don't justify Yahweh at all, whatsoever, anything of what he has done. I don't justify Yahweh his dog shit plan that he has done. And if he doesn't want to fulfill it, he can go fuck off. If you don't bear that in mind, and to actually want to change it and to want him to leave, then you cannot be what is written in the Bible. That it says that the Messiah is justice when Elohim is not. So then that's why the human beings in Malachi 2:17, it is represented, it is being represented as in a question, as in a universal question, that of course Yahweh wrote it, no human being ever said that, but in a question, universal question that he left written in the Bible, he says, Yahweh says, ye have wearied Yahweh with your words, and you say, in what have we wearied him? In that you said that whomever does evil pleaseth Yahweh, and in such he delighteth. Whomever doth evil pleaseth Yahweh, and in such he delighteth. There's something prophetic, and we're seeing it. We elevate that clamor. Not by saying, Yahweh, come and punish these wicked men. No, you're the wicked one. You are the one that is delighted with these evil people. You're the one that sets the kings up that rule over us. You invented every religion that there is. They're yours. The priests pastors, the preachers, the prophets, they're all yours, because the lies come from you. It says, and in such he delighteth. Or else, where is the Elohim of justice? Before that question that Yahweh is saying, you're calling me out for a God of justice, and you're saying that I'm pleased with those who do evil, and to top it off, you ask me, where is the Elohim of justice? If this were a lie, he would say, you're wrong. I am not pleased with those who do evil, you're wrong. I am not pleased with those who do evil, you're wrong. I don't place kings and take kings out. I don't have that power. I'm a mere observer, and I'm seeing your wickedness. I'm seeing how you place the kings and take them out. I'm seeing how the empires rise up, the beasts. I have nothing to do with it. You're blaming me when I am only observing what you're doing, what wickedness you're going to get to. And already, those who hate that wickedness is me. Yahweh doesn't answer that. And to top it off, he says, and then you call me out and you say that there's no Elohim of justice. How can that be? If you're the unjust ones, he didn't say any of that. He said, okay, that's fine. Then I will send you an Elohim of justice. That is what it says. By saying that, he's saying affirmatively that every one of the accusations are true, and that he cannot do any justice, nor is he able, and he's not the Elohim of justice, but that he'll send another that is the Elohim of justice. It is very clear. For those who want to see it, it is very clear. He accepts that accusation, because that is the design of his. So then, when doubts come up, whether we're wrong, if maybe Yahweh is good and we're the evil ones that are accusing him, because first of all, we're afraid, because we have the effect of the one that is kidnapped, and that starts to look with love and necessity to the kidnapper, because when he wants to, he feeds him not what he wants, but what the kidnapper wants to feed him. That lets him live. He didn't kill him. So then he starts to develop a relationship of subjugation and love towards the kidnapper. That is what happens in humanity. The Elohim of justice breaks that spell. He breaks away with it. Yahweh is our kidnapper. He gave us life. Yes, of course. Do we recognize it completely? Can he kill us? Absolutely. He has already killed billions of my brethren. All of them. We're the only ones left. Those of us who are alive. Those of us who are left. But there's no person that is 200 years old. There's no person in the world that is 150 years old. So then 150 years backwards, Yahweh has killed everyone. We are alive. And if we're waiting for 50 more years, we're not going to be here. It'll be another group of people. Will be the group of the dead. Those that have been executed by Yahweh. So then there's no type of positive contemplation of saying the end justifies the means. Good thing what you did, Yahweh. No, we're against Yahweh. Yahweh is to blame for everything. All the evil done on this earth has to be placed upon the head of Yahweh. And that every person should note that our Creator subjugated us to a life of the worst and most vile that there is. And it's not enough to say, oh, I had a beautiful life, and it's no good. Because you're being blind to everything that has happened to our brethren that have already died and suffered and died and suffered and died. So then, when you ask me, is it personal inspiration of the Messiah? In other words, no, you're wrong. The Messiah is a group of people. I am a part of the Messiah, just like all those who will be a part of this group. So then, it is not me. It is all who believe and are a part of the eternal truth. is a personal inspiration of the Messiah to insult and disrespect Yahweh, even understanding that the Creator has predestined you as the Elohim of justice? I have to say yes, it is personal inspiration of ours. But I also have to tell you that yes, to what follows. Or do you believe that He Himself inspires that? I also have to say yes, both things. Both things. Because we are a product of His creation. We're a product of His creation. So then, I understand that no one does anything here by their own inspiration merely, but we do things as a group, by His inspiration and ours. And those two things get together, they get together. So then, I have to say yes to both. I can't say only by His inspiration, because we cannot take our individuality out. Of course, it is our inspiration, and also He inspires us to do that. Both things. Both things. He cannot hand this earth over to anyone that says you're justified. I want you to understand that He cannot hand this earth over to anyone that justifies Him in anything. In anything, He's going to say, no, you can't justify me. You have to see who I am. Even if I'm the Creator, you have to see who I am. Or else I cannot give you the earth, because you'll be just like me. Because if you justify me, then you'll start to do the same acts that I did. Because if you justify me when you have the power, you'll do exactly the same acts, because by justifying me, you're going to think in the same way. So then we do not justify, nor are we pleased about anything that Yahweh has done. Nothing! Nothing! It is absolutely nauseous to us. And I want you to understand something. Let's see if I'll place it in a sort of like a drawing here. Very grotesque, because I'll draw it like this, very easily. Let's suppose that this is God. Let's suppose that this is God. This sir here is God. This is God, the Creator. One alone. There's only one alone. There's two eyes there. Two eyes. The guy says, I'm going to create beings like me, but least powerful, of course. Like me, in that they reproduce. I'm alone. I don't have anyone. It's kind of boring. I'm going to have a plan. I don't want them to know what my name is. I'll never give them the name. I'll just give them an acronym. They'll ask who I am that I am. So then the guy goes and he creates a little couple. Let's say that this one was Eve. This is Eve, Adam and Eve. Adam also has long hair there. That's Adam. That's Adam right there. This is Adam. So then the guy said also, I will not let them know how I am. So then every time he shows up, he does a projection of himself, and this becomes in millions of people. The guy, every time he shows up, he does a projection of himself, and he shows up in human beings with a different face to what he is. He shows up like this, like a serpent, shows up also here like a son of man, hung on a cross. Never did the human being know the real God, the real being. He never knew him. We know projections of his when he showed up to Adam and Eve, that says, and Elohim would walk and spoke in the garden. It's clearly not the phase that he has. It's a different one. When he appeared like a serpent, it wasn't him. It wasn't an angel. It wasn't Satan, it was him. When he shows up to Moses, it was him. When he appeared to Abraham and other people, it was him. When he shows up to the whole world, being born of Mary or Miriam, it was him, but already recovered in a human being that ends up dying in a cross. But we only see phases of his. And he creates the religions. He makes himself be called Yahweh. We don't know what his name is. He makes himself be called Yahweh. So then what we detest and hate is that phase that he showed us. The phase of the real person of his, we don't know who he is, nor what he looks like, nor what he thinks. We don't know. No one knows. What he showed and showed himself in different forms is what we are absolutely against. We don't want to be like him. That is the fear of Yahweh, fear to look like that figure of God. Like it clearly says in many parts of the scripture, no one has ever seen God. Then it's not that we hate the real creator. We hate what he showed us of him. And we also hate the real creator because it's part of him. But when we see just as he is not with the phases that he wants to show us, the situation will change because actually he entered into a role. All this here, the word that I used to hate when I was coming out of Trinitarianism, I would say, how does the Son of God is three different beings? He's coexistent, but one entered into the role of a son, and the other one entered into the role of a father, and the other one the role of the Holy Spirit. It cannot be that God is just roles. Now I'm using the same way of thinking that I used to hate before, but now it's different. The true creator being, whatever he might be, entered into a role. That role or character is the one that we hate entirely, and he wants for the Messiah to hate him, to not want to not even worship that figure that showed himself, nor to want to be like him either. As he said it, he's the father of lies. He is the assassin from the very beginning. There's nothing to admire of him. We understand that he's all powerful. That doesn't stop him from being admirable. His power is to be admired. That's perfect, but not his character, not his design, not his plan. This is for us horrible. For the whole rest of humanity, because he showed himself in different forms. It doesn't matter the forms that he showed himself, they ended up worshiping him. He showed himself like a serpent, they would worship the serpent. They showed himself like demons, they would worship the demon. They showed himself like a woman, they would say a goddess. And Yahweh in Israel, they still worship him up until today. Yahweh Hashem, the unmentionable. He showed himself as Jesus, as a human being. And the Christians, up until today, worship a Jesus in the form in which he would show himself, that would worship him. And as it turns out, the Messiah has to be different to all the rest of the groups of worshipers. The Messiah has to see this character in all of the phases, from the initiation of creation to the end, and say, this is the devil that the Bible says. This is the Satan that rules the governments, that gives power, the dragon. If we live the way we live, it's because of him. If this world has a cover of lies, it is because of him. There's a reason for us to need a Messiah to open all the lies inherited of our fathers, starting with Adam and Eve. So then, you cannot admire his work. He cannot admire it. He has to hate it. He has to hate the government of Yahweh. He has to hate the religion of Yahweh. He has to hate the system of Yahweh. He has to hate the means of Yahweh. And he cannot justify him in anything. That is the only Messiah that exists. Exactly. I justify it all. The flood, that he killed them in the desert. And there is still dying, all of us who died. I justify all the deaths. I justify all the deaths. I justify everything. So that we have to come out of the fearful mind of worship to God. That God is no longer God for us. He's the creator, but we don't want nor will we worship him ever again. In fact, we did a rite that I'll talk about now, of blaming everything on him and to cast him away from us. That is a brutal rite that we did in Yom Kippur 2024. That is our God. You are to blame for everything, and now leave. That is real. That is real. If you still have not grasped my words, you still don't understand the message of the eternal truth. That's why when the question is it the personal inspiration of the Messiah, even understanding that the Creator has predestined you, I could give a fuck that He predestined us. You predestined us? Now take it. Because we actually are, those of us who are sending you to the desert, because we don't want to be like you. We don't want to worship you ever again. We don't want you to guide us. We want you to give us what you promised and leave. And if you don't want to give us anything, you can also fuck off. Simple as that. It says, maybe, so that we reject them or to have that about the fear of Yahweh. I understand and accept all of your messages well. You have to check whether you do understand them and accept them, because to understand it is to understand what I'm telling you. And to accept it is to practice it. And yes, it would be impossible. It would be impossible. It says, I understand and accept all of your messages and all of the changes since 2011, and I still accept them. When you say I still accept them, it says that it's becoming more difficult. As time goes on, it becomes even harder, but I still accept them, you're saying. I don't know what you'll bring next Shabbat, but even up until today, I accept them. That makes me understand. Maybe you didn't want to say that, but I read this, and it makes me understand this. It's like I still love you. It's like I still love you. It doesn't go there. But that bothers me. See, there's the problem. The but. I still accept them, but. There's a but. What worries you? That I insult Yahweh? For him to destroy me right now? I could give a fuck. In the end of it all, it'll all be a blessing. No. In that, I want you to understand it. The blessing is not because of God, the Creator, but because of the Messiah. The Messiah is the reason for the blessing. Because if it were because of God, I would not need a Messiah. So then you're seeing the gain there. In the end, it'll all be a blessing. No. It is because of the cause and only because of the Messiah that there will be a blessing, or else there's no blessing. Or else there is no blessing for anyone. Just like that, for anyone. It says, how can we be so upset at him? I'm still upset at him even more every day. Every day more, because this is just with nonsensically just delaying, and so I get even more upset every day. If he subjugated us to all these beasts, you also have to think in the beasts that he subjugated not just us. Think in those who have already died, who are waiting for someone to rebel against him. all those who died have no hope. Their time has come. They worshipped and died. They are pleading, per se, they are pleading that someone may come with a lot more balls than them, that somebody comes and to do something that they didn't achieve, worshipping and blessing and living through different gods. They all died, and none were any good to give life to anyone, to no one. And now that they're no longer there, figuratively speaking, they are pleading. This text has nothing to do with it, but I'll read it so that you understand this figuratively. You perfectly well know what I'm about to read. Right, yes. Because there's a filter that if I don't speak strongly like this, the microphone closes completely. Closes. So then if there's a voice that's not so loud in the background, it won't take it. If it takes it, maybe if it goes down a little bit, it closes it. But that filter helps so that it sounds perfect. Exactly. It's like the torture. The torture that subjugates the victims, even if they plead and plead and plead, he's not going to let them go. But those who rebel against him, and they break their chains, they break a window, and they act with violence, that is the one that will be freed. Exactly. I don't understand how the Christians don't. It's difficult. It's difficult. Difficult. It is very difficult. What Leslie said. It's like the one that is kidnapped. They're going to torture him until he dies unless you rebel against the kidnapper until he breaks everything, chains, and can immobilize or kill him. Then he can come out into liberty. Right. You have to see him as how unjust he is now and always. This is a text, just so you understand, Revelation chapter 6, 9. I'm sure you knew what I was going to read. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on earth? And white robes were given unto them, and were told to rest yet a little more, until their fellow servants also and their brethren, that they should be killed as they were, should be fulfilled. How do I interpret this? To give this example, all these people that died is crying out. They're crying out. Why are they crying out? Because they're worshippers of false gods. All of them. And they cry out, asking for justice. Because they died by and with the testimony of God. That's how they died. So then, of course, you read that and you say, oh, they died because of the testimony of God, and they're crying out for justice of those who killed them on earth. No, no, no. Actually, figuratively speaking, they're asking for justice of the very God that they believed in, and saying, this is a false God. We believed and we died. Someone will come to fight for us. That someone is the Messiah, who is against God. He wants for God to leave and doesn't justify him in anything, and he will undo the works of the devil. Where is that text that he comes to undo the works of the devil? Let's see if you really are in the 15 seconds. That text that says to undo the works of the devil, where is that text? Where is it? Where it says to undo the works of the devil. It goes well right now. We perfectly well know who the devil is. Let's see if somebody can find it quickly. To undo the works of the devil. There it is. Very good, Gabi. It's fast now. It's fast. First John 3:8 says, "He that practiseth sin is of the devil." In other words, that he that keeps the law of the Bible and practices the Bible, because the Bible is the origin of all sin, the Word of God. He that practices the Word of God is of the devil. For the devil sins from the very beginning, for Yahweh sins from the beginning, for the Creator sins from the beginning. He that practices the Bible is of the Creator, because the Creator sins and is evil from the very beginning. For this, the Son of God appeared, which is the Messiah, to undo the works of the devil. That text comes in perfectly well. It is absolutely spectacular. For he is the devil, and he that sinneth is the one that actually practices a religion of the devil, of Yahweh. And why does the Son of God appear? He's not God. He's not the Creator. It's yet another name, the Son of God, as the Son of Man, the Messiah, the new God. It's two titles. Why does he appear? To undo the works of God. Precisely. The text is very clear. To undo the works of God. Which are the works of God? 6,000 years of work. 6,000 years of killing, of slaughter, of torture, of lies, of deceit, of pain. What does the Son of God do? The Son of Man, the Messiah, he undoes, he starts to do one by one to undo the works of the very God. So then we cannot justify God in anything, if you understand my message. So then how can it be upset at him? Every day I'm even more upset at him. Everything that you speak is in figuratively speaking. No, what I speak is in the real message. Blessings for you and all of LPE. Very well. For you, your lineage, and all of LV. I hope that I have answered this question, even if it's harsh. Sometimes it's difficult for us to see what it really is or where we want to be. You know that many have left. Many have left. Those whom I used to think that would never leave, from the moment of Yom Kippur and on, yes, for this very reason. At the moment of Yom Kippur, because it's kind of like we have been advancing a little more step, just yet a little more step, and we got, no, I can't with this, I can't stand you blaming God. Oh, we're not to blame God, then whom do we blame? Here comes the question that I want to develop. I hope that I have answered this correctly. I like this a lot, for you to understand. I don't care about it because I don't know who the real Creator is, or if it's many. I don't know, because God is the father of lies. Let's start with that. It is so. It is so. He's the father of lies. So then I can already see that it's a race like we, that has a father, mother, sons, and daughters, and everyone does whatever they want. And he presented himself the way he wants. He presented himself with that face, but since he wasn't going to do it for the whole entire life, he says, I'll do it for 6,000 years, and then I'll hand it over, and I'll create another one, because a creator doesn't stop acting, mind you. A creator is a creator. Give a painter enough paint and he'll paint his whole life. Maybe he'll learn something else, but that about painting he'll never forget. He'll want to every now and then paint, because the creator is a creator. And you might say, and where does God leave? I don't care where he goes. For me, he can fuck off. But what he created, which is ours, in our limited power, for it to be left for us, like he says, because if he had written in his book, and in the end of it all, it's all destroyed and convert. convert it, then I'll say, okay, live however you want, however you can. It's like the atheists say, nothing exists, because we have an opportunity of living, and that's it. But since the book doesn't say that, he said something very clear that we'll read now, what it says. That really makes me want to keep going, or else I wouldn't want to keep going or urge you to keep going. But I want for my words to be absolutely crystal clear. God, the face that he showed us, is a son of a bitch. There's no greater son of a bitch than him. He's the most wicked of them all, the most deceiving of them all, the most traitor of them all, the most assassin of them all. That has to be very clear in your mind. Now that he created us, that doesn't take away everything that I've said. And I'm not saying he doesn't exist. He does exist. But he is complete dog shit, the face that he's shown us, to the point that we want him to leave forever. We don't want him anymore with us. We don't want him to live with us. We don't want him to be meddling in our business. We don't want him here anymore. We know he exists. We know he created us, but we no longer want him. That is an absolute, without any sort of figurative message. It is the truth. Question number 2. Hello, Christian. I'll read it entirely. Hello, Christian. Shabbat Shalom for you and your beautiful lineage. I hope you are in very good health. I was reviewing this week the subject about the judgment against Babylon. And in the subject, when you talk about the 4 beasts of Daniel, where you say that part Yahweh didn't reveal it to you, who they were, you give us your opinion of who they can be, of who they could be about, with the actual panorama of the war against Iran. Could we already know who they are, or confirm whether it's the ones that you mentioned, that they are the ones that you mentioned? And if it's not too much to ask, could you give us a review of the texts given with more lights about everything that's happening from that date to the date? Thank you for the wisdom you give us every Shabbat. Someday the world will be able to see this magnificent light in the darkness that surrounds them. Let's go Boca. Let's go the eternal truth. Well, this question made me go and watch the subject that we presented in the year 2022, which was called Revelation 17, and the 10 Kings, Babylon and the 10 Kings, something like that. What was it called? Well, anyway, Revelation 17 part 4, we did judgment against Babylon. That video left, it was when they took, well, it was the one that had problems with YouTube. And it was thanks to that video that they shut down our account, one of the videos. You can still see it in the other accounts in Odyssey and Rumble. And if you're not subscribed, below this video in the description you have the 2 channels of Odyssey and Rumble. In both channels you have this video. It's Revelation 17 part 4, Judgment unto Babylon. The subject's very good, and the subject, this one, was given April 2nd of the year 2022. Adar the 30th, the last day of the year, precisely we're about to change into the new year, April 2nd of the year 2022. Judgment, we did a judgment. like everything takes a maturity scale, and since we don't know what we do until we do it, and then we notice that we fulfilled something, that's how things in the prophecies all turned out, always. I want you to understand that it was not just overnight that the thought came of being a worshiper of Yahweh, that Yahweh was the maximum, that you want to marry Yahweh, that you want to live with Yahweh, that you want to have sex with Yahweh, that you want to be his wife, subject, submissive unto Yahweh, and then you go to saying Yahweh's a son of a bitch, I want him to leave and never see him again. It's a whole eternity of the opposite poles, yes, of course, a whole universe, an entire universe apart, of being one to be with Yahweh, to be his wife, to saying Yahweh is a son of a bitch, detestable in every aspect. I want to undo every single act of Yahweh. Completely opposite poles. So then you don't go from one place to the other just like that. It's all a path and a maturity of understanding so many things, understanding everything in the year 2022, precisely 4 years ago, exactly 4 precise years ago, April 23, 22, 24, 25, 4 years ago, we were not at the point of blaming Yahweh at all. Who was to blame for everything? Babylon was to blame. The judgment was against Babylon. Babylon was to blame. And we saw this prophecy that I'm about to read. We saw that there was someone in the judgment, but we could not understand the role that that judgment was fulfilling. The role that that character had to play in that judgment. It's very interesting what I'm saying, because it's not that we made a mistake. No, we fulfilled this marvelous prophecy excellently without not even maturing enough to fulfill the following one. That's what I'm saying. Pay attention to this. The judgment of Babylon was only the first part, and we had not understood that. It was divided in two. Then another judgment came, and for whom, against whom was the second one? I was not able to comprehend it right at that moment. The judgment was against God himself. First, we placed in the seat the human who was executing the evil, and then we noticed that there was an intellectual author of what we had placed into judgment, that he had a father and one that was directing him. But in order to get to that point, we had to go through 2 more years. Actually, it was 2.5 more years of maturity, of understanding. It was a judgment against Babylon, very well. And now what? We continue to study, maturing, growing. And we understood that Babylon was just the material author of the acts, but he wasn't the designer of this crime. The designer or author, intellectual author rather, was Yahweh. And we sat Yahweh down on the seat. So then we had 2 judgments. But this prophecy that I'm going to read actually is the entire prophecy of 2 judgments. And we did it in 2 parts, because even in the real judgments here, it's not all done in one session. So then, we had to go comprehending. First we accused, and we thought that those were to blame, and they are to blame for everything Babylon. They are guilty. But then we noticed that there was an intellectual author that was moving the threads of Babylon, and we said, this one we also have to bring into judgment. At first I thought it was crazy, but then I started to comprehend it even more. That it had to be so. Then after a long time, Adriano wrote to me and said, Christian, I think that we made a mistake of whom we made the judgment against. Not just that in the prophecy there's someone sitting there in the seat. That's the one that's accused. And I said, Adriano, no. Yeah, that's good what you're saying. It is logical, but no. We judged Babylon, not God. And you know what? That was the maturity curve. Because the Messiah has a mind that will work later in conjunction. Exactly, it could be. Yes, levels. We unlocked another level. We had to unlock this level. Once we fulfilled this one, we went into the next level. Because it's a game, it's like a game. We unlocked the second level. And we noticed that we had to do another judgment, but in a different way. Directly, the one to blame is this one. The other one had already been sentenced, but we need to play the maximum sentence on another. And we fulfilled it 2.5 years later. So then the prophecy I'm about to read actually talks about both things at the same time, which we completed when we completed the decree of the eternal truth in Yom Kippur 2024, which we declared our day of independence. Why independence? There we completed the judgment and we became independent from this son of a bitch. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. So then, the judgment to Babylon, it was April 2nd, 2022, against the material author of the acts. And the judgment unto Yahweh, it was Yom Kippur 2024, which was Shabbat at night, Sunday. It was the changing into Sunday, October 13th of the year 2024, 2.5 years after the first judgment, which was at 10th of Etzanim, precisely at Yom Kippur, against the intellectual author of the acts. Because the judgment was not complete, and now I asked, so you understand, I asked the AI, who is more to blame? Because I wanted to see how they see it in justice. Who's more to blame? The material actor or the intellectual actor? I wanted to know who's more guilty. When one has the idea of a crime, the other one does it. Which is more guilty? So then the AI answered me and said, in the modern penal code, both are considered to be equally guilty and responsible of the crime, although the material actor physically does it and the intellectual one plans it and organizes it. The intellectual author is crucial, moving the cords from behind, just like Yahweh does, the beast moving all the threads from the strings. So we've got the intellectual one, he achieves plans, conceives and plans and orders the crime, being the middleman or the one behind the scenes. You don't see him. The material author directly executes the crime. What Babylon does. Responsibility. Legally, the one who plans intellectually has the same degree of responsibility as who acts materially. In many cases, the intellectual author is seen as the most dangerous. I wouldn't say most cases, it's always the case. If there's no intellectual author, there's no author that executes the order or the crime. In many cases, the intellectual author is seen as the most dangerous, since without his plan, the crime would not have taken place. Utilizing the material author as an instrument, exactly. It is a lot more dangerous and more guilty, the intellectual one. and more knowing that it's Yahweh against people, that he dominates through means of all types of artifacts, like Judas, like whatever, like whomever, Balaam, whomever. So then, if they annul, if they need to, because sometimes humans don't need to, with just an inspiration, they do evil. But if he has to annul his will for them to do what he wants, even if the humans don't want to, of course, the intellectual author is a lot more to blame. There's something else also. The accomplices. That jumped up because the AI told me about it. It's not just the intellectual author. You've got the material author and also the accomplices. Who are they? The accomplices, he says, they help and cannot be discarded. Actually, they cannot be discarded. They usually have less guilt and lesser sentences than the authors, both the one that thinks and the one that acts. He lends help or assistance, which cannot be discarded in order to do the crime. Their responsibility is less since they don't have the dominion of the act that the authors and co-authors have. So then, who are the accomplices? The accomplices are all who, without being the beast, they went into the aid of the beast. Who are they? For example, the priests of the white robe. Another example, the pastors. Another example, all of the religions. Another example, the governments, which are part of the beast. But the smaller governments of the cities and those things, they're accomplices. They're accomplices. Your family members are accomplices. They said, oh, no, if you don't have this, you can't come. If you don't poke yourself or don't wear this and that, get a muzzle on the newscast. I mean, don't even mention the all accomplices, and for free, to top it off, for free. Yahweh plans the cup of wine. The beast does it by decree. The accomplices are the whole world, except for those who denounced, this is a lie. But you've got the intellectual author, the material author, and the accomplices. And we see that in every aspect. In every aspect we see that. Science. Yahweh says, I'm going to invent that you live on a ball. He executes it through scientists and NASA and all the rest, a bunch of idiots that show us how the physics of the world is that we live in a ball. Who are the accomplices? Well, the whole educational system, your mom that bought you a ball, said, look, you live here, your teacher, elementary teacher, secondary, your professors, your friends, that if you say we live on a flat earth, they laugh at you. So then, without even wanting to, and without even trying, they are accomplices. And they all have their crimes. They all have their crimes. We see that very clearly, always. By understanding this, that there is intellectual authors and there's material authors, we initiated the judgment to the material actor, like sometimes it happens. And through the material author, when the judgment is seen, sometimes he starts to sing and the intellectual author jumps up and says, well, I was hired by. That is what happened. That is what happened. The most normal is that they sentence the material author, so that then later it escalates, where if we pull the strings, oh, there's an intellectual author, as it turns out. We go to chapter 7 of Daniel. Marvelous. Because in the question that they sent us, he says, with the actual plan of the war, could we already know who they are, or to confirm? It's talking about the four beasts. Could we already know who they are, or to confirm if it's the ones that you have mentioned? If it's not too much to ask, could you give us a review of the texts given with more lights of everything that has taken place? on that day of the feast. Thanks for the wisdom you give us every Shabbat. Someday the world will be able to see this magnificent light in the darkness that surrounds them. Today we're going to eat milanesa. It's got nothing to do with this, but it's delicious. Today we're going to eat milanesa with mashed potatoes. Milanesa with mashed potatoes. Did you buy the one from the butt? Yeah, that's the best milanesa. It's a cut. Yeah, it could be from the shoulder, but the one from the butt, it's very good. So then milanesa from the butt with mashed potatoes, absolutely spectacular. And the milanesa, just so you know, and I'll show you, and I'm showing you the milanesa, even though they call it milanesa, around these places, it's not equal to the one that's prepared over here or in Mexico or in Central America. Pay attention. It's not the same. It's a little different because it's got more flavor. We use egg with parsley, with garlic, salt, and pepper, and a little bit of chimichurri that you have to have. It's not that you can't discard it. And then with flour or directly Argentinian oregano. It could have a whole bunch of things. But there's a great difference with the one that they gave me here and the one that I've tried. It stays there marinating with the garlic, the chimichurri, the egg. Because I've seen how they make it here. It goes through flour. Right, it's backwards. We give lots of flavor to that, but not to asado. But I want you to try the difference. Those who have not tried the milanesa made, like I've just told you, it'll be such a delicious difference. All who have tried it, they do it just with flour or just egg. They said, no, this is something else. How exquisite. It grabs a very different taste. I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying that it's absolutely spectacular. In my point of view, comparing both, it's infinitely better. But of course, but if you've never done it that way, try it that way. Like I've already told you, eggs, Argentinian oregano, if you have it, chimichurri, Argentinian, of course, a little bit, parsley, garlic, green pepper, and then leave it all in the egg with the meat for about an hour at least, and then you take it out from there, and it directly goes into the breading, not even on the flour, just into the breading, and you fry that. You want to fry it, you can put it with a little bit of oil in the oven to the maximum. It doesn't taste just like the fried one, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So then the milanesa in that style are spectacular. You have to taste the garlic, the parsley, the oregano, the chimichurri, all that, because it is completely barbarous. That is what we're going to eat with honey. The milanesa can be eaten in many different forms. French fries and with fried egg. But with mashed potatoes, it's perfect. It's with fries in Argentina. It's so delicious. You can make sandwiches with it, of course. What do you call a torta? A torta. Whereas tortas are things that are sweet. Sandwiches is a milanesa, you have it. You call it a torta. The rest of you call it sandwiches. Very well. Oh, it's such a chaos. How Spanish is, but we speak all types of Spanish here. Daniel chapter 7. Good thing it sounds great. The Napolitan also, like Jose says, Napolitana means that once it's made, you put tomato sauce on top, cheese, like a pizza. Sauce, cheese, and into the oven, and for that cheese to melt. It'll be like a pizza on top. It's spectacular also, obviously. And a sandwich also.
No, será puré. Será puré.
The raw puree, like puree in mashed potatoes. It's puree.
Bien.
Very well. Someday. Daniel chapter 7. On the first year of Belshazzar, the king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream in visions in his head while he was on his bed, and then he wrote the dream and he said the first parts of the whole situation. Daniel said, I was watching in my vision at night, and behold, the four winds of heaven combated in the great sea. And four great beasts, different one from the other, would go up out of the sea. The first one was like a lion and had wings of an eagle. I was watching until its wings were plucked off, and it was raised from the ground, and it stood erect on its feet, just like a man. And what was given was the heart of a man. Okay. I listened to the subject that are presented. By the way, spectacular. 4 years ago, I looked so young in this age. I'm 56 years old now. Wow, I can't believe that 4 years ago at 52, right? 52. What a difference. Now this dog shit beard is white. To tell the truth, I'm so angry because of that son of a bitch that did this to us. Every white hair that I get, one to blame is that son of a bitch that designed that program. Not one sole fucking hair should go white, so then every day that I ate, and the anger is greater. It is greater, just like that, greater. And I watched that video 4 years ago, and I looked like a young man. 4 years later, I don't know what will happen in 4 more years, because at this age, the decline is too great. You know that we're born? We're already dying as soon as we're born. We're already dying, but it takes time, but we're gonna die. We're born, we grow, we get to an age, give or take, how we're stabilized in the height, and then we start to decline a little bit, and then we get to the Cavani age, that we get injured and we can't play anymore. We're still young, but we can't play, and it's such a decline at 40, but you can't tell that much. 40, 45, and then you start like, oh, what's going to happen next? It's irreversible. But once we get to 50, it's like already tilted. Everything is faster now. Every day things change. At 60, at 70, you get to 80, and then all you're waiting for is for the coffin. That's the way it is. It is terrible. Okay, I was watching the video. And yes, and 70, 75, 80, we're already waiting for the hearse. Exactly. Sometimes it takes a long while to get there. So then, how did this subject come up? Oh, because we're talking about the first beast. There are 4 beasts. 4 beasts. The first beast always was taught to me, that's how I taught it, that it's Babylon. The thing is that in this prophecy, I'm going to advance to a very important text. In this prophecy, let us advance to text 17. because it's very important, number 17, before starting to interpret. These four beasts, number 16, Daniel speaking, I came near unto one of them that stood by. There must have been an event that we'll study about it. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth. Daniel is living in the time of Babylon. We're talking about that this prophecy is for the end of time, for everything that we're about to see. Because the reign of these kings ends and he hands it over to someone. We're not talking about the time of Daniel, we're talking about the time of the end of times. So then the one that interprets him says, Daniel, these four beasts you saw represent four kings or kingdoms which will arise. Babylon is not. They showed me that Babylon is the lion, and Babylon is not the lion, because he was to arise. And Daniel already lived in the time of Babylon. Daniel also lived in the time of the Medes and the Persians, because precisely they were about to take over. Babylon was about to fall. So then, and look, I'll read in the Jerusalem 2001, Daniel 7:17. These giant beasts, which are four, correspond to four kings which shall arise in the world. They were not back in that time, so then it's not Babylon. Very well. Having understood this, that no one ever had explained to me before, let's go to the first one. The first beast was like unto a lion. They told me the lion is Babylon, because Babylon, there are lion figures, and when you read about Babylon, there were so many lions all over the place. And he had eagles of wings. Precisely, he had that because he makes it so that these figures deceive the world, because they read it and they don't understand it, because they are not kings. So then it is the cover, but it has a meaning. And the wings, who are they? I was looking until its wings were plucked off, and it was arisen from the ground, and it stood erect like a man, and the heart of a man was given to it. This beast. I gave this, mind you, because I've just listened to the subject, which is very good, so good. If you were not back in that judgment, go and watch that whole judgment so you understand. It is a historical event that the whole world will see someday, because they have to see it. And then after that, they're going to have to watch the other part 2, Judgment Part 2, Yom Kippur. Who is like unto a lion? A lion also represents Yahweh. The lion also represents Yahweh, because the devil is also like a lion. He also represents himself like a lion. In many parts of the Bible, there's no need for me to read it. You remember it by memory. So then, he's a lion, a representation of Yahweh. He had wings of an eagle. Also, he represents himself like an eagle, because he says that when he took them out of Israel, you took them on eagle's wings. That's a lie, because he killed them on the desert. But it's also represented like an eagle. Why? Because the eagle has a royalty that can be elevated to wherever she wants. So then a lion with eagle wings, it represents a lion that's not normal. It's ultra powerful, that flies. Just imagine a lion flying. Just imagine how brutal it would be. That figure, if it were real, a lion with wings, which would seem to be that of an eagle, completely ferocious. That was representation because of the wings, which means quickness, height, power. It's a representation of Yahweh. Yahweh is all-powerful, a lion with eagle's wings. But something happens, a metamorphosis. I was watching until its wings were plucked off. when did they pluck off the wings from Yahweh? Well, it says who, it doesn't say who, he did so himself. When he came and was born like a man. Notice well, I was watching until its wings were plucked off, and it was risen out of the ground, and it was stood erect upon its 2 feet. So from the lion, let's suppose that the lion with wings means an all-powerful God right now. When he takes off his power and royalty, he becomes something else. He becomes something else. He becomes a human being, like a man, which is what God did. Because that Jesus, that Yeshua of 2,000 years ago, was a winged lion. It was Yahweh. And also a serpent, however you want to see it, because it's symbols. So then, he was not human being. He, being the all-powerful lion, and speedy, he undressed of his divinity, of his power, and stepped out of the role of the lion, and he went into the role, like ours, of a human being. And he stood erect upon its 2 feet, like a man when he was not a man, he was God. And the heart of a man was given him. To top it off, it clarifies even more. The heart of a man was given him. That the heart of a man was given him. Yes, of course, that's what stopped when he died in the cross, that he stopped himself. Of course, he was given a heart of a man. God, a lion, all-powerful, undressed of his divinity, and he became a human being, and he received human attributes. That is the first beast. But where is he? If he left already? No, that doesn't matter. What's important is what follows those. Which are they? The Christians. He, in the judgment, I say, it's imperial Rome. And I sustain that up until today. Because who started with the Christian power? Rome did, and it's thanks to Rome. And Rome became a worldwide religion by force, because they went conquering and converting into Christians all of America, and then almost the whole world almost. So then I don't call it as Rome anymore. That power is the one that follows to that which was God and became man. And you may ask, what religion worships a God that makes himself man? Christianity. Because that's not Judaism, it's Christianity. Now that it undressed itself from its divinity of its wings, of its way of a lion, and the heart of a man was given him, that is Jesus of Nazareth. So then the first beast is Christianity, which is not a king, it's a power, it's a beast. Christianity in all its dimension, from Rome to the last stupid Adventist or Mormon, Jehovah's Witness, all of Christianity, all who have that lion, which was given a human heart. Five. Behold, a second beast, like unto a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. Who is this beast? Whom does it represent? Evidently, before we believe that it was the Medes and the Persians, that by arising it ate 3 other powers and blah blah blah. It isn't so. These are powers that have to be alive today, and they have to continue to have power today, in today's day and age, because the prophecy is on course And the prophecy says that one is liquidated first, and then the others, it is allowed to live a little bit of time. So then, these powers are real powers of today. We've seen when Christianity is a brutal power and real. The second one, who is it? In the video I interpreted 4 years ago, and I say this beast could be Russia, the whole communist and socialist movement. And now I sustain what I say, but I don't want to identify it like Russia anymore. I want to identify it like a real power, which is all of the religion, which is atheist and pagan. Because how were the Soviet Union born? Like a movement, even if they were Jewish who rebelled against the religion and they no longer believed in God. So then it was the whole Russian movement in the Soviet Union was an atheist movement, which didn't allow for any religion to be exercised. So then, does it exist today? Of course it does. Whatever is atheism, and to this I add paganism, it's the biggest religions because it's Hinduism and Buddhism. That beast, that bear, it's a type of power, which is anything that's the new religion that is even coming up here in the US. The entire woke movement are atheist. They're not Christian, they're atheist. They don't believe in God. I said that also in the judgment, we have another type of beast. After this I saw, there was another one like unto a leopard, with 4 wings of a fowl on its back. This beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Who can be this beast? Well, in the video 4 years ago, I identified it clearly, and now 4 years later, I again say that it is what I said. I said in the video, this beast could be Islam, even though now it has no importance. Well, I do see even a greater importance, because this beast is a leopard which conquered all of Africa, and it was disseminated and completing the whole Arab world. It's an ultra powerful religion. You got Christianity and then Islam. So then we have movements or beasts that are very clear in the world. The world is divided: group of Christians, group of anything that is a pagan religion, which is China, India, and all the atheists. And we have another group which are the Muslims, which represents the leopard. Why the leopard? I don't know. I'm interpreting. Because it's powers that have to be present today, fighting. 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. Here comes one that's stronger than all the rest. But they're all at the same time. Remember, they were all 4 fighting. Remember how this prophecy initiates? It initiates like this. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and vision in his head as he was in his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heavens drove upon the great sea. In other words, it's all simultaneous. It's not that one shows up, that one falls, one comes up, that one falls, one comes up. No, no, no. There's 4 that come at the same time and live. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another came up out of the sea. So it's not necessary that one comes up and crushes for the other one to come up. No, it's four beasts simultaneously. And in the end of times, so then they were all born, these beasts: Christianity, Islam, atheism, communism, however you want to call it. And then you have the fourth one now, which are present today, all of them. It reads as follows. And the fourth beast, horrible and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. In other words, the beast he's seen, this last beast he's seen, the last one, not because the rest have disappeared, no. The last one to whom paying attention, it's the more powerful than the rest. Don't pay attention to the teeth of iron. That it represents iron. No. Rome no longer exists. Imperial Rome no longer exists. They made me believe that this was Imperial Rome. It doesn't exist anymore. What iron teeth? It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. They made me believe that it was these 10 tribes, that 3 fell for the little horn to come up, which was the Pope. Absolutely wrong interpretation, which is fine. It is correct. They had to make a mistake because they're not kings. Now this beast, which is reigning today, is more powerful than the rest. And in what sense? Because he sees the symbol, not the real beast. He really doesn't see what he's seeing. He's seeing a symbol, which we have to interpret the symbol. Why is it more powerful? Who is this beast? You perfectly well know who this beast is. It is the same beast of Revelation 13 to 17. It is Judaism or equal to Zionism. And you might say, but it doesn't seem to be too powerful. Oh, you who is not from the eternal truth. They don't seem to be too powerful. The Jews are a little tiny group. It's like 0.8% or 0.08%. I can't remember. It's a very minuscule religion. No. We're not talking about the quantity of people, but in power. That minuscule group own money, the banks, economy, your country, the pharmakeia, the big companies and monopolies of everything that you can think of the stock market, everything, those who make money, science, and all who are the power and the money of the world, even of entertainment, of pornography, all, everything that humans do, they are the owners. It is a small group, but ultra powerful. It is different to the other beasts, but they're the ones that actually rule. It is them. That fourth beast is the one that dominates the entire earth. It's called Zionism. Or Judaism, however you want to see it. Judaism is more of the religious side, it's Zionism, but I can't separate it. Zionism and Judaism, same thing, can't separate it. It is the most powerful beast that has ever existed on the earth. It is them, it's the prostitute of Revelation 17, it is the 8th. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. Before them were 3 of the first horns plucked up by roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, with a mouth speaking great things. As it turns out, they made me believe, at least the Adventist Church, that little horn was papacy. It was the papacy. There's nothing more ridiculous in an interpretation like that, even though it would seem in that time, if they tell you the way they tell you, if you believe in God, like they tell you, if you believe that there's a Satan that opposes the plan of God and everything, blah, 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 and you don't understand anything about the Bible, and you're Christian, maybe you get to understand that that little horn is the papacy that speaks against God, that wants to change the time and the law, because he changed the Sabbath into Sunday, blah, blah, blah. It isn't so. The 10 horns, it doesn't matter what they represent in this case. Now the 3 fell for an 8th one to come up. I love the figure, because that horn is the 8th. Because there were 10 supposedly in the beast, but 3 are eliminated, so then the beast has 7, really. It has 7. But out of the 7, 1 comes up. It is the 8th. It's another graphical interpretation of saying it's 7 kings, quote unquote, because 3 were eliminated, quote unquote. One of them, well, everything the prophecy says, right? And it says, and the 8th is 1 of the 7. So then, this is the same horn. It is the same one that comes from the abyss. Because it is the 8th. There is no difference. When you understand that there's no other possibility, the figure even starts to become perfect because it is the 8th, really. The 3 are plucked out because 3 have nothing to do with it, and you see that it has 7, but actually 1 more comes up, which is the 8th, which is actually 1 of the 7. It clarifies it in another prophecy. So then, what does it say? And as I beheld the horns, behold, another little horn, an 8th one, came up out of them, and before them 3 horns of the first ones were plucked up. And behold, it had eyes of a man and a mouth speaking great things. Never Zionism has spoken so much like now. Now Zionism is the one that speaks, and you see the war that we're having with Iran. 2 groups, 2 of these beasts. 2 of these beasts are fighting. And we enter into the text that's so marvelous, number 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down. I was looking, I was thinking about the beasts. In the previous subject, told you, in the previous subject, 4 years ago, I told you that there could be that precisely these 3 nations which give their power, which could be instead of being plucked up, they are subjugated, and they're subjugated to give their power to the little horn, and I identified these nations like Germany, England, and the US, which through them, the little horn, Israel, Babylon. In its greatest power, the 8th comes back to life of Revelation 17. Now I see it. I mean, that's fine. It's great. It's excellent. But I like more the idea that actually 10 horns never existed. It was 7. 3 are plucked up. 7. And among them, an 8th one comes up. That one's spectacular. If you want to see it like those 3 horns render their power, they are Germany, England, and the US. You might say, why Germany, England, and the US? Because it was the 3 main countries that played the role so that Israel was to be born. Germany, because supposedly persecuted the Jews, and then the 6 millions happened. Thanks to that war, the Second World War, is when the beast is born. It was necessary. They were working for the project, Germany. No matter the war or what side is what the people eat up, it's a real war, yes, but real when you see it from within. But actually it was created to form only the state of Israel. The first one was essential to take the land from the Muslims, and the second one was essential to give them the land. He only had that mission. There was no conquering of No. Directly, I can assure you that that sir was one of them. and was working for them. Just like that directly is like I'm telling you, even though they'll tell you the contrary. No, the Jews themselves will tell you that this guy would, not because he is the one that should not be mentioned, but actually because YouTube can block you. So then this guy with a mustache was one of them, and he did an extremely dirty job for them to become the greatest victim of humanity, and so that the UN, through that, to vote so that they take Palestine, their place taken away from them, and give it to them. It's very simple to see. It's not like they told you. It's as what it is. And all this organized by the intellectual author, which is Yahweh. So then, for that precisely comes up, that's why I told you Germany, England, the US are the ones that actually are the three main actors for the state of Israel to be born, which just turned 78 years old. 8, 9, 7, pardon me. No, 9, pardon me. We're already on 8. 9, I beheld till the thrones were cast down. And if their thrones cast down, it's because kings sit on there. Notice, this is all a symbol also. And the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. Okay. Now I want you to understand these symbols. Everything that I said in the subject 4 years ago, which I said it's all symbols, that's fine. The Ancient of Days Yahweh, his throne, the blazing fire, wheels, burning fire. Wheels is the paralytic note, symbolism of omnipresence. Okay, let's take all that out. In other words, today I'll give you an interpretation of what this could be. And maybe in 2 years I'll give you a different one. Today I give you this interpretation. It is what they're asking me in the question. It's been 4 years ago. You see things a little different. Well, I see it this way. Because right now, at that time, I did not understand that the one that was being placed into judgment, it was him, not just the beasts. Especially the fourth beast, which all the beasts were in the judgment. They were all in judgment, especially this accursed one, the big one with that little horn. But also another character, Yahweh, there is not a judge. Yahweh is brought, he is brought in by force in the symbolism. That's why he's got a wheelchair. He's not handicapped, but what it is like, I understand, maybe you see this as odd, but there are certain, if you've seen the Silence of the Lambs, they bring the guy in a wheelchair. He's so dangerous, the guy is, and they bring him with a mask on a wheelchair because they don't even give him the freedom, not even to walk. That is how they transport him on the wheelchair directly because he's so dangerous. And I've seen other movies like that. When the prisoner they're going to judge, they bring him in a wheelchair, not because he cannot walk, but because he's completely immobilized. Well, this is the case that I see in this prophecy, which is crazy. The whole entire Bible is crazy, and the interpretation is one alone of all the ones that you can possibly see. But now I understand that this guy They make him sit. This says he sat. In other ones it says he was brought in, or whatever. And I saw until thrones were cast down, and he said, or was already seated, depending on the interpretation, an ancient of days, whose garments were white as snow. If it says that the garment was all white as snow, in this case, it is because he was being judged by something, and that's how he was dressed. Not because he's pure. And the hair was like white wool, and his throne burning fire, and the wheels of it burning fire. Why is the throne going to have wheels? It's not a car. Before I told you it's the symbol of omnipresence, which is, I can go here and there quickly. Now I see it differently. Because for me, the one being judged was him. It was him, the one being judged. Aside from the beast. Because he's the intellectual author, and the beasts are the material authors of the same. A stream of fire issued and came forth from before him. Thousands and thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. And you might say, no, he's being worshipped by millions of angels. No, it's not saying it's angels. These tens of thousands that served him and millions that were before him are the worshippers that they have in the world. It's all a symbol. Somebody follows that God, the Christians, and the Muslims, and the Jews. So then, millions upon millions serve him. Of course, they worship him. This is a symbol. I want you to understand. What it's saying is, the guy had millions and millions upon millions of followers. Exactly. The beasts are followers of his, except for one, which is pagan. They could care less. But the other ones, the Christian ones, the Muslim one, the Jewish one, are followers and servants of his. But here we've got many different characters. We got kings that are judges. This guy, which is the Ancient of Days, sitting in a wheelchair. And we've got people that follow him that obviously would not condemn him ever, because they follow him and serve him, they worship him, they love him. But there are judges. There are judges. I'll read it again. And a fiery river proceeded from him, and millions upon millions ministered before him. The judgment, he's not the judge, but the judgment, plural, it is very clear. The judgment, or the tribune, or the kings that judge, however you want to call it, but the judgment, or the tribunal, was set, and the books were opened. Interesting. Because the books were opened to judge Babylon, and the books were opened, we just have to open this book. And the books being the Bible was opened. Because what does it mean, Bible? What does Bible mean? It means a collection of books. The Bible, the Holy Bible, because what are the books? Books are Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and they're all books, books, books. How many books does the Bible have? Quickly! How many books? No one knows how many books? I don't want to tell you how many books it has. You don't know how many books the Bible has? You don't know. Shame on you. It's got a very special number, 66 books. It's got 66 books the Bible has. It is the book of the beast. 66 books. At least this Bible does. 66 books. The Christian Bible, obviously the Jewish one, you need the ones from the New Testament, and the Catholic one, they added some more, which are great. It doesn't matter the number. The important here is not the number, 66. What's important here is that Bible means a collection of books. So then the books were opened. The Bible was opened. And if I open the Bible, the only one that I can condemn is Yahweh, evidently. It is more than clear. The books were opened. I can say the Bible was opened. The Bible was opened. In the Jerusalem 2001, just so you see that it says Tribunal, Jerusalem 2001, Daniel 7:10, and a fire stream emanated from before him, before the accused prisoner. Thousands upon thousands, idiots, the Christians, Jews, served him, and millions accompanied him. Of course, they accompany him, they worship him, they sing to him. The tribune, which is none of them, not the followers, nor those who served them, nor the one sitting. The tribunal sat, and the books were opened. And what was opened? The Bible. The New Living Translation says, Daniel 7:10, New Living Translation says, and the river of fire was pouring out. I can almost interpret that as wickedness. The guy emanated death and wickedness, wrath comes out of his mouth like a bull that's upset. So then I can interpret that river of fire. It was the river of death and destruction because all he has done. He's brought in, is confined there in the symbol. It is a guy that's hyper-destructive, and to top it off, he has millions who serve him. Wow. But there's a tribune, and a river of fire was pouring out. Millions of angels, they added angels, it doesn't say angels, it says million ministered to him, and 100 million stood to attend him. Then the court began its session, and the books were opened. The Bible was opened. What? To judge that one. I hadn't noticed that the one that is being judged is him. Or else it would make no sense even for him to be there. Or else he would be the judge, and he's not the judge. He is the accused. He's the defendant. It took me years to notice. I saw him there. The tribune was there. Those who served him was there. And the Ancient of Days. The Ancient of Days is the accused. Because he is the intellectual author of what goes on this earth. And Babylon is the beast. And all the rest are his creation. And they're the physical author that has done all of the evil acts. But this guy is being judged, and it took me time to understand because I had to unlock the level. To unlock this level, I had to do the judgment first. That's what we did. And then we unlocked the next level, saying, you know whom you judged, really? And you'll complete it. You'll complete it in Yom Kippur 2024. There you will complete the judgment unto Babylon, the material author of the acts, and Yahweh, the intellectual author of the acts, and all the minions also who helped, because they're oxen, which is all those that serve him. That's all of them. They're all the asses that follow him, the beasts, the helpers, and Yahweh. We are the only ones that are apart. You see how there are four groups: the beast, the Ancient of Days, those who serve him, worship him, and they suck on his socks, and the judge, who is the tribune, the judges, the tribune. Impressive. If you're new and you're watching this, this is what we did. This all was still happening as the beasts were ruling. It says, I beheld them because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body was destroyed, and given to the burning flame. Wow. This is what it says. in Revelation 17. So then he's seen scenes that take place simultaneously. Doesn't mean that they're in the same instance, but in the same time. So he sees the four beasts, then at judgment, he sees a guy, this is that ancient of days, how odd, right? In a throne, he just needed to say that he was cuffed. It's all symbols. It doesn't say that, but he's cuffed. And he's got a whole bunch of followers. The whole world follows him. Yahweh, Yahweh, God, 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 my God, my God, my God. They all follow him in any way, of shape, or form. But there's a group that's judging. And precisely, all of a sudden, the beast is slain and burned with fire. And look at what it says next. Well, I'll read in the Jerusalem 2001, Daniel 7:11. It says, and I was still looking fascinated by the barbarities that home spake. And I beheld and saw that they killed the beast. They destroyed its body and threw him into the burning flame. They killed the beast. So then that beast, which is Zionism, Judaism, will be slain by someone. And that's about to happen at some point in time from here until the year 2032. 12. As concerning the rest of the beast, they had their dominion taken away. Why has it been taken away, and who did? This beast that dominated them. They were more reduced, their dominion was. But their lives were prolonged for a season in time. This actually is marvelous because he gives you clearly a prophetic story. Babylon has to fall. But the rest, I don't want to say Babylon. I want to say directly Israel, Zionism, Judaism has to be destroyed. Just like that, Zionism has to be destroyed. But when that happens, the other powers, which are the Muslims, the Christians, and the atheists in conjunction, they're still alive. Why? Because it is exactly the prophecy that I've just told you. The Medes and the Persians destroy Babylon. So then a union between these, even though right now it's just need enough with the Medes and the Persians, which are the Muslims in this case, which is Iran, he is in charge of destroying Israel, destroying Israel. It doesn't mean the power of Israel is turned off. It doesn't mean that these three are destroyed. No. Their lives are prolonged, yet whom? The Muslims, the Christians, and the atheists. Those three groups that dominate the entire world, or that are in the entire world. It's like I've told you the other day, they want to take the power at some point in time and say, hey, we've already destroyed the one that ruled over us. Now we're going to rule. And that is when Revelation 17 says that these who had slain the beast, now the Lamb fights against them. And with the Lamb are those that are called, chosen, and faithful. And they win and destroy this power, which actually are these three beasts. So then it is very clear, the story that I've told you, comparing it with this story. They had taken the dominion from the other beast, but their lives had been prolonged for a season in time. I saw, 13, here it is very interesting all this, very interesting, Because when the Ancient of Days is judged, it doesn't say what happened. It says that the books were opened, the Bible was open. That is what was open, the Bible. And this is, you are to blame for everything. It is good in a symbol. This story is for us only. Because no one will ever understand it, ever. It's not for anyone. It's not for the Jews or the Christians, not for the Adventists, for no one. Daniel 7 was written for us. The rest, they make their own telenovela and they believe whatever they want. This story is for us. That's why for us it's important how we fulfill it and how we fulfilled it. This prophecy indicated that we were gonna place in the seat of the accused Yahweh and his little minions, which are the beast, all them, that we would condemn them, and through that condemnation Yahweh was gonna hand us over the power. It is like when he already knows or was already condemned, then he hands over his power. Look at what it says in number 13. But this is hidden. And I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, to the same one he saw that was in being judged, and came and was brought before him. When the judgment was brought, this is not a scene of the judgment passed already. At some point in time, the Ancient of Days calls the Son of Man, and they make him come before him. What for? To kill him? He could. That's not the idea. It is prophesied. They made him come near before the Ancient of Days. Condemned. He's already condemned. And there was given him, oh, that's why he calls him, to give him something. The prisoner that is guilty says, I'm out of here. Here is all which I'm handing over. That's why I'm retiring and I'm leaving. I give you all the power to rule this. And was given him. He didn't have it before. Dominion, glory, and kingdom. It's three very important things. It's precise words. They made me believe that the Son of Man was Jesus. You have to understand that Jesus was not God, and he was never God, because he didn't have dominion, he didn't have glory, and didn't have kingdom, and his Father had to give it to him. You see that when they want to force this, the Christians, this Jesus, and that Jesus is given dominion, glory is given unto him, and kingdom, that it is a fallacy, a lie, is an invention, because that same Jesus that the Christians sustain, that dominion, glory, and kingdom is given unto him, they recognize that he didn't have any of that. He was just a poor wretched fool, so he wasn't God then. He cannot be, so it wouldn't match. And aside from the fact that it's not for them, just a little bit for you to give color to this, just so you understand that we understand something that is completely foreign and impossible to the understanding of the rest. That Son of Man represents the judges who judged him, the judges who may blamed him. Something that judge didn't have was given him dominion. The Son of Man, the Messiah, the new God of the earth, doesn't have dominion. None. The dominion is had by the beast. That is clear. And the beast respond unto Yahweh. Glory is given unto him which he never had. Who has glory? The rich, the millionaires, and the beast. They take all the glory. But this Son of Man has no glory. He never had glory. And a kingdom is given him. Of course, if he never had dominion, glory, he never had kingdom. And not a kingdom is given unto him. They give him the kingdom of the entire earth. That's why it's so important, this text is. After the judgment, it is taken as the petition of the prisoner before leaving. He says, bring me
tráigame
the one that I'm going to hand over all this to
todo
in this succession,
esta sucesión.
the Son of Man. And they take him to
El
his
Hijo del
presence,
Hombre. Lo llevan a su
and it was
presencia
given him
y
dominion,
le fue dado
glory,
dominio,
and kingdom,
gloria y reino.
so that all the peoples, not just
Que
some,
todos los
all
pueblos, no algunos, sino todos,
nations, all of them,
naciones
and languages,
todas,
all of them,
y
would
lenguas
serve him.
todas le sirvieran.
His dominion is
Su
an
dominio
everlasting
es
dominion, and the
dominio
word
eterno.
olam is
Y
there,
cada
which is the
palabra
word,
olam
dominion is
tiene
forever.
palabra, su dominio es para siempre.
It is not a temporary
No es un dominio
dominion, not like
temporario.
that of the
No es un
beasts,
dominio
which
como
are
las
born
bestias
and
que
disappear,
nacen
or
y
they're killed or
desaparecen.
die.
Los
No,
matan o mueren. No.
his dominion
Su
is an
dominio
eternal dominion.
es dominio
So then its
eterno.
glory,
Entonces
it's
su
also an
gloria
eternal glory,
también
and
es
his
gloria eterna,
kingdom, it's
y su
also an
reino
eternal
también
kingdom,
es reino eterno,
and it shall never
que
pass. It
nunca
clarifies
pasará,
it
te lo
just in
aclaro
case,
por las dudas, que nunca
which shall
pasará.
not pass away, in
Y
his
su
kingdom,
reino,
one that will not
uno
be
que
destroyed,
no será
because all the
destruido,
rest are
porque
destroyed
todos los demás
and have been
son
destroyed and
destruidos
will
y
be
han sido
destroyed,
destruidos, y
the
va a ser
kingdom of these four
destruido
beasts
el
that are
reinado
now.
de estas cuatro bestias que hay ahora. Se me turbó el
I was
espíritu
grieved
a
in
mí.
my spirit, I, Daniel, in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me.
Las visiones de mi cabeza me
I think
asombraron.
that Daniel wrote
Yo
what
creo
was
que Daniel
necessary,
escribió
that
lo
Yahweh inspired
necesario que
him
Yahweh
to,
le inspiró,
but what he
pero
saw
lo que él vio
truly
lo turbó en
troubled
gran
him,
manera,
because
porque
he
no
didn't
entendió
understand a
en
thing.
vida.
He saw that all the powers of the
Él
earth,
vio que todos los
including,
poderes de
I
la tierra,
believe, his
incluido, yo
beloved
creo,
Israel,
su amado Israel,
they were being passed
pasaban
over
a un
unto a
grupo
group
de
of human people that had no
personas
glory,
humanas
that
que no
were no
tenían
one for
gloria,
him,
que
no
no
one.
eran nadie para él, nadie.
But the Ancient
Pero
of Days would
el
hand
anciano
over
de
dominion,
días le
glory,
entregaba
and kingdom.
dominio, gloria y reino.
And it says that my
Y
spirit
dice que
was
se me
perturbed.
turbó el espíritu a mí. En vez
Instead
de
of rejoicing,
alegrarse, en
instead of
vez de
saying,
digo,
wow,
wow,
how
qué
fantastic is
fantástico.
all this? No,
No,
he
quedó
was
regadísimo.
embittered.
Se me
My
turbó
spirit
el
was
espíritu.
troubled. I,
Daniel,
Daniel,
en
in the
medio
midst
de
of
mi
my
cuerpo,
body,
a
I,
mí,
Daniel,
Daniel.
was grieved in my
Y
spirit,
las
and the
visiones
visions
de
of
mi
my head
cabeza me
troubled me,
asombraron, por no decir me
so as to not
aterrorizaron.
say terrified me.
Me
I came
acerqué
near
a
unto
uno
one
de
of
los que
them that stood
asistían
by, and
y le
asked him the
pregunté la
truth
verdad
of all
acerca de
this.
todo esto.
So he
Y me
told
habló
me
y me
and
hizo
made
conocer
me
la
know the interpretation of the
interpretación de las
things.
cosas.
Wow. The
La
interpretation
interpretación que siguió sin
that no one
entenderla
understood, like
por
he'll
decir
say
después.
later.
Pero esa
That
interpretación
interpretation
nos
helps us
ayuda a entender a
understand
nosotros aún
even
más.
more, because it
Porque
wasn't
no
for
era
him.
para él, era para el
It was for the one
destinatario
who
de
was to
este
receive this
libro.
book. These four beasts, these four great beasts, are four kings which shall arise on the earth. I've read that to you. Future, it's not Babylon, it's not Medes and Persia, not Greece, not Rome. Shall arise, and not at any time, but at the end of times. 18. Afterwards, they shall receive the kingdom, the saints of the Most High. After what? After what? After when the four beasts is burned with fire. When a time is prolonged unto them to live, to the ones that are left. Who is it? I just told you. Islam, Christianity, and the rest of the world, pagan, whatever it is, atheism, whichever. What's important is that these three groups, because one will be destroyed. It's not that every single one was going to die. No, we're talking about the power. The power of Zionism is the one that will be destroyed. Is what I want you to understand. It's not the killing. Once again, it's repeated back in the time of the Second World War. No, it's not that. It is the power of Zionism, which is falling and will fall. And in fact, we see him fall because the people no longer like them. And for them to use that word, it's more anti them. And they'd rather have a Palestine flag and not that one of the King David now. Because now people don't like them, not just me, the whole world. We look at them like assassins. The power is already falling. We're talking about power here. Power, not of killings of people. Power. Because if we talk about kings, we talk about religious groups. We're not talking about the death of the people. Is there going to be death? There will be. But it's not that they're going to kill all the group. No, no, no. What falls is the power they had. So then, afterwards, this story that I've just told, they shall receive the kingdom, the saints of the Most High. Oh, yeah, it no longer says the Son of Man. He didn't say that the Son of Man, he was going to give him the kingdom. Now it is plural. Now they're being called with a different symbol. Holy of the Most High, because it even bothers me, that name. It's horrible for me. Those who are set apart of the Most High. It was filthy, that name. It's nauseous. The saints of the Most High. If that gives you pleasure, you're wrong. You still have the Most High very much up there in your heart. It bothers me to be called that, to be called by that name. I am no saint of the Most High. Now if they say, you are set apart by the Creator, okay. Sounds a little better. But I'll read the way it is because this is all symbols, and it's concealed. What's important is that the Son of Man, a group of human beings, receive the kingdom. It's no longer a person. It's a group. Afterwards, the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom. It is many sons of man then, and shall possess the kingdom forever and ever and ever. It is very clear, the description is. In the New Living Translation, I like it because it says afterwards, it says, but in the end, when, at the end of this story, there's a judgment. That Ancient of Days is being judged. The Ancient of Days hands over his power that he leaves, and when we combine it with all the rest of the prophecies, and with the rites that were the judgment of Yom Kippur, you see that the Ancient of Days is that Azazel that has to be taken into the desert. For we confessed all the sins upon him. He is to blame for everything. It is a right that he imposed upon Israel, and Israel doesn't even know what it means. The Christians don't know what it means. We took it and made it effective. Upon the head of Azazel. We took him to the desert, which means that we took him to the complete inactivity, Azazel. But we fulfilled that when the rest don't even understand it. That's what it says. But at the end, the kingdom shall be given unto the holy people of the Most High. The holy people, the ones set apart. The LVE group. And the saints shall rule forever and ever. How many are they? They're a group. It says the saints. Because they cannot be ruled by a person. If it is ruled by one person, we would all fall into what Yahweh is. It has to be many. It has to be many. And you have to think amongst all of them. That's why it is one people. We're not talking about a unique Messiah. We talk about a Messiah in plural. Because it's the only way the stability and the justice can be applied. We cannot place it in just one person because it would be perverted. That happens always. But now it rests upon a group of people. A group. Can they have their differences? It would be the most healthy for them to have and to debate to do things well, and they're wrong when they say, you see, we did it in a different way, we have to do it this way. Because they're a group of people. And that is what we're seeing that'll take place. That's why it cannot be one sole person, it's a group of people. So that the whole world, so that every last one of the Messiah can notice whether things are being done right or wrong. And that the whole world can see that they don't worship only one person and whatever they come up with, but it's a group of people that look for the common good. That's the way it is. It is a people. The kingdom shall be given unto the holy people of the Most High. That's why this is against the Jews, the Christians, that believe that God comes to rule the earth, that Jesus is coming, that Jesus is only one person. But Jesus doesn't exist. Jesus will never come, because Jesus is Yahweh, and that's precisely it. But the figure, what they believe that is Jesus, they are very much accepting of them being that being their God. That's not what the Bible says. The Bible says that the world will be ruled by many people. By many people. It's not one, it's many people. That's why, if you write to me and you say, that you call yourself the Messiah. No, write well what I say. The Messiah is a group of people. It's a group of people. We don't want a Christ. We don't want a Christ Jesus to rule us in that everything is His. No, it's a group of people. If you don't understand this, you've never understood my words. I am clear when I speak. I am clear when I speak. So then I don't understand why you say that you're the Messiah. No, I'm part of this group. So then, I'll read it again. It reads as follows. But in the end, the kingdom shall be given unto the holy people of the Most High, LVE. And the holy ones, this whole entire people of LVE, shall rule forever and ever. We don't want any Christ. We don't want any God. We don't want anything. We want us, no one else. Then I want to know the truth about the fourth beast. That was so different from the others and so terrifying. It had teeth of bronze and iron teeth, and trampling their remains with its feet. I also asked about the 10 horns upon its head, and of the little horn that come after which 3 had fallen, and this same horn had eyes and mouth and spoke great things. And he seemed to be bigger than his companions, and as I watched, this horn was waging war against God's holy people and defeated them. Didn't defeat them, but subjugate them would be the word. Until the Ancient of Days came, and the judgment was given unto the holy people. We see a very clear information right there that the judgment was given unto the holy of the Most High. And if the holy of the Most High are those that are going to rule forever, they're the ones that did the judgment. It is so clear. It is 1 + 1 is 2 + 1 is 3. Who are the saints of the Most High? It is a name only of whom? Of the Messiah. Plural. The holy of the Most High equal to Messiah. Who is the Messiah? The one who receives the power to do judgment. Just him. And the one who did the judgment is the one that rules forever. I mean, it's so simple, this math is. So simple. The rest don't see it because they can't see it. They can't see it. Because they would all have wanted to be for different motives. Not because they hate the government of Yahweh. But rather, they would do it for love of Yahweh, which is the wrong reason to be a part of this. And to be a part of this, you have to detest Yahweh and all of His ways and works, and to want to undo every last one of them. To undo the works of the devil, who is Yahweh. If that is in your heart, then you can understand this. If you don't understand this, it is because you should never understand it. That's why it says, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. That judgment was given to whom? Unto the saints of the Most High. They do the judgment. They are, and the time arrived, and the saints received the kingdom. It is very clear. It is very clear. The order is the saints, which is a name, a dumb name, a fucking dumb name like everything that Yahweh does. Those names, I'll make them pass in the middle of my crack. I mean, I could care less by these names. It's horrible, the name saints. I would prefer for that word saints to not even exist. I like the Son of Man better. So then, the Son of Man is the one that issues judgment, and then later the Son of Man receives the kingdom. It is very clear. Oh, it's not a Jesus that comes from heaven, but it's a group of human beings. If the Christians would just listen to this part with an open mind to think, they would say, why do I worship Jesus if he's never going to rule anything? I am waiting for him to save me, but the humans are going to be saved by a group of human beings. How? They cannot see it because they are blind. And it's fine for it to be so, because no one can see it except they are a part of this group, or else all would want to be a part of this group, and they would all be caciques and just a few Indians. It is a saying in Spanish, which means many leaders, but it's actually the caciques will be a few in many millions of Indians, which we're going to have to domesticate. That's the way it is. If you understand my words, anything of my words, then be very, very happy and blessed if you get to understand what I'm saying, because this prophecy is one that is being fulfilled. It is being fulfilled. We're fulfilling it ourselves. No one else. No one else. They don't even know that it exists. And we're fulfilling it. We are that Son of Man that we judged Babylon, and then later we said, hold on, who guides Babylon? This great son of a fucking bitch that directs Babylon. We're going to judge you. Who? The Ancient of Days. You son of a bitch. You are to blame for everything. Of absolutely everything. The death of all human beings up until now, our death that we're dying, you are to blame. You are a son of a fucking bitch. You are the deceiver. You're the father of lies. You're the most filthy assassin that's ever existed. We want you to leave. Kicking way up your ass. Don't ever come back. It's as simple as that. Who else understands this? No one else. He said as follows, the fourth beast shall be a fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. That's what he did. And they're all dominated, marked, pinched, mentally pinched, against any interpretation that is not their own. And the 10 horns mean that out of that kingdom 10 kings shall arise, and 3 of them, and after them another, which shall be different from the first, and 3 kings shall be subdued. And he shall speak words against the Most High, and the saints of the Most High he shall subjugate. It's a breakdown, but if you look for the original, clearly you can say subjugate. Because if he breaks the saints of the Most High, then no one can do judgment. But that he subjugated, as he did so ever since we were born to this, of course. And shall think in changing the times and the law. This is very important. Because the Adventist told me, look how he changed, because the little horn is the papacy, and he changed the Sabbath. I mean, all stupid nonsense. But that's fine, because they can't see the truth. This power that's about to be broken down thought, and they planned it. They had a plan. an agenda that they call the agenda, the 2030, an agenda that doesn't even know what is in that agenda really. But everything that they're executing is based on that agenda. And it is not the 2030 that they made you believe that this will happen and this will happen. And no, it's a lot worse than that. A lot worse than that. They had evaluated, because the intellectual author is Yahweh, that the earth is already too small for all of us, that we have to eliminate a whole bunch of people. And that is what they are planning and thinking to do, and to empower all of humanity, absolutely. So then all that they're doing is based on that. That actually, either you don't exist, or if you do not have anything. And everything we see of wars and all the rest, they are based on that. But it is not that. That's why the word he shall think to is there. It's an agenda. He's planning. But he's destroyed before they get to it. Do so, because if they weren't destroyed, they would do so. That's why it says, and he shall think in changing the times and the law. The times are the times that we live in, the way in which we live in, and the law are the laws to which we're subjugated. That's still a law that you can live in, but they have in mind another type of life for you and for me. Another type of life, another type of coin, they're going to completely take our freedom completely. They're going to put in our system what they want. And if you don't like it, then you won't be able to exist. Just like that. It was all just a little test, what we've seen up until now. What this beast has planned is horrible. But I could give a fuck, because he won't be able to do so, because I don't even worry what they have in the agenda. I could give a fuck. I start to watch Boca Cruzeiro on Tuesday before thinking what they have planned, because whatever they have planned, they won't be able to achieve it. So then I don't get submerged into their mind, because to submerge into their mind and finding out, oh, what are they going to do? What are they going to do to us? You already start to fulfill the prophecy of destroying us. So then, it could give a fuck. I could give a fuck what this fucking stupid ass fucking beast could do. They're going to be cut into pieces and burned with fire. And we are about to receive the kingdom. When this son of a bitch in the wheelchair actually starts to fulfill what he has to fulfill. So then it says, and they should be given unto him the times and the half a time, saying, and we take all that literally. It's all symbolic, but we take that literal, saying it's 1260 days and blah, blah, blah. Today I have to tell you all that, tell you the truth. It has to have a fulfillment, but it's to distract you. I could give a fuck about the times. The times that I know is that Israel cannot go past 2032. That I do have clear. In 2032, we enter into the 7th millennium. So then, times and half a time, I could give a fuck about. It could mean certain things that are good, but I could give a fuck. $26. 25. Which is it? 25? Which did we read? Because I said a whole bunch of things here that were in the subject. 25. 26. But the judgment shall sit. It's not the judge. It's not the judge. It is the judgment. It is the sons of Elohim. It is the judges. It is those who had the balls of issuing judgment, which it would have been left to naught, if we would not continue on with the author, the intellectual author of this problem. If we just had judged the author who executed this, then it wouldn't get to anything bigger, because he would be freed. The one who came up with all this, speaking about Judaism, Christianity, or whomever, we would continue on with the group that we worshiped Yahweh, the group that served him. We're not of the group that serves Yahweh. We are sitting judging them. It is millions upon millions that serve him. Those oxen or asses, we are not. It is very clear. I turned the prophecy over when I saw an ancient of days, and I saw millions upon millions that served them and would suck on his boots and worshiped him. And then I saw another group that sat. That group is not a part of that group of millions upon millions. The millions upon millions are all the asses that follow him. We are the group that judged him for what Yahweh is. And that's why he has to leave. 7:26. But the judge shall say, it's not the judge. It is the judgment. It is the judges. It is the Son of Man. And shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. Talking about the dominion of the beast. But not just that of the beast. I understand that they'll take that dominion away from Yahweh. It's just that Yahweh has to hand it over. He has to hand it over. We don't have power to take it away from him. That's why he calls him the Son of Man, this group, and he gives him dominion, power, and glory. Why? Because they have none of those three things, and they have to be given unto them. The Ancient of Days has to give it to them. But the judge shall sit, the judges, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. A name that I don't like, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve, and all the dominions shall serve and obey him. This same text in the Jerusalem 2001. Why? Because I love it, and I read it also in the Day of Judgment. But when the tribune issues sentence, the power shall be taken away, and it'll be destroyed and annihilated completely. And the sovereignty, the power, and the greatness of all the kingdoms of the world shall be handed over unto the people of the saints of the Most High. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all the power shall serve and obey him. The Spanish DHH. But a tribune shall celebrate a judgment, and the power shall be taken away, leaving him completely destroyed. And the kingdom, the power, and the glory of all the kingdoms of the earth shall be handed over unto the people of the Most High. His kingdom shall remain forever, and all the peoples of the earth shall serve him and obey him. Whom? That group that issued judgment. New Spanish Bible. But when the tribune sits to judge, they shall take away the power and shall be destroyed and annihilated completely. The real power and the dominion over all the kingdoms under heaven shall be handed over unto the people of the saints of the Most High. It'll be an eternal kingdom, whom all the sovereigns shall fear and be subjugated unto. The Torres Amat. And afterwards, a judgment shall be celebrated, so that the power is taken away and be destroyed and perish forever. And so that the kingdom and power and magnificency of the kingdom, how much is there under heaven, shall be given unto the people, not a Jesus that died 2,000 years ago, but unto the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and unto him, that kingdom, they shall serve him and obey him, the kings, all of them. New Living Translation. Why do I read it so much? Because it's difficult to assimilate in the mind that there is no Jesus that comes to rule anything. It's a group of human beings. Yet, the court will pass judgment, and all his power will be taken away and be completely destroyed. That is what I tell you about the beast. Actually, it's not that the death of the beast is, but it's that the power is taken away. all its power shall be taken away and will be completely destroyed. Then the sovereignty, power, and greatness of all the kingdoms under heaven will be given to the holy people of the Most High. His kingdom will last forever, and all of the Most High. No, it says the kingdom of that power. Kingdom of the Most High. They're not going to believe it. No, it is the kingdom of the people of the Most High. And always all the rulers will serve and obey him. The last one, New Living Bible. I can't even remember this. I used it in the Day of Judgment, the New Living Bible. Then the judges shall sit to judge, and the horn shall be taken its power away, and then all the nations under heaven with all its power shall be handed over unto the people of the Most High. They shall rule forever, and all the rulers of the earth shall serve him and obey him. This prophecy is in course. We have fulfilled the part of the judgment. We judged the material author of the act, and we judged the intellectual author of this. We already understand all the accomplices that have done all this plan, which actually is all of them, except for a very small group of some that have not helped and opposed this. This prophecy soon will be fulfilled, and it can be clearly that it has already begun, one of those powers, to destroy the little horn. That's what's taking place. I believe it's the beginning. Let's see how this will be developed. There is time, but this prophecy before 2032 must take us to have the worldwide dominion of everything. That's why it's so important to understand what we did and never forget it, and to pay attention to who we are. We don't have power, we don't have dominion, we don't have glory. Is that the point whereby we should receive dominion, glory, and power? But of course, because we don't have it now. And we will receive it, 28. That was the end of his words. And about me, Daniel, my thoughts perturbed me, and my countenance changed in me. He didn't understand anything. But I kept the matter in my heart. He was very, very ill. It was not the end that Daniel was expecting. He didn't understand it either. He didn't understand that he was left ill. Like any Christian that I tell them this, they will be completely perturbed, like that idiot that answered me. Why do you say stupid idiot? Because they don't want to understand. No, it's not that they don't want it, they cannot understand what I speak. Like that idiot that wrote last week, don't listen. I want to warn this whole channel, those who listen to this channel, Christian Silva, you're all wrong. Because Christian Silva is not the Messiah, nor are you either. We are waiting for Jesus to come from heaven to look for us. Why don't you fuck off? Just like that, why don't you fuck off? Why don't you go right in your channel? Why is it that we that are part of the eternal truth, we need your warning, or somebody's going to say, oh, this guy's right. Oh, that's true. He's right. What am I believing? No. Jesus will come and look for us. No, no one's going to come and look for us. It is we, the last, and there's no more hope of the world. That's the way it is. That's the way it's very simple. It is this tribune, what you have done, what I did, what we did as a group, makes us unique. Unique in that little book that says that it is a special book. That book, it is the book. It is not the book of life, it is the book of ours. The book of life, it is all who have lived, because all will live. That book, that special book, it's the book which we are really written because we are a part of those of us who will be the new God of the earth, which is a God in conjunction, many gods, so that one God doesn't become in a despot. Many gods, which is what precisely we are here today on this school. The judgment into Babylon was done on April 2nd of the year 2022 against the material author of the Acts, which is Babylon. The judgment against Yahweh was done in Yom Kippur 2024. Only I will read for those who don't understand or forgot, or those who enjoy this. What is the heart of the judgment to Yahweh? It is because we came up with it, or because actually he programmed this? Leviticus 16:20-22. Leviticus 16:20-22. In the very heart of the Torah. Speaking about the rite of Yom Kippur, how it should be done and what it meant, this is majestical. And when he had made an end of reconciling the holy place with the blood of the goat unto Yahweh, because it was two equal goats, identical, Yahweh would choose which was for Yahweh and which was for Azazel. That of Yahweh, you had to kill him. He representing the death of when he would come, but actually he was alive because it was the same being that of the Azazel that was next to him in this figure, dead but alive. And when he had made an end of reconciling the holy place in the tabernacle of the congregation in the altar, he shall bring the live goat. This is the Ancient of Days, the living part of Yahweh, because he came and the other one represents the dead part of Yahweh, which he resurrected. He shall make the he-goat, and Aaron shall lay both hands upon the head of the live goat, and confess upon him all of the iniquities of the sons of Israel, all of their transgressions, and all of their sins, putting them, here is a perfect figure, putting them upon the head of the he-goat. Here is a transference. This is a guilt transference. In the Feast of Yom Kippur, they also call it the Day of Judgment. They also call it the Day of Judgment. They also call it the Day of Pardoning. Why forgiveness? Because there's a judgment and we're forgiven, but they call it the Day of Judgment. And if you're not forgiven, you are sentenced forever. So then it's a brutal day. It's the most serious day of Israel, Yom Kippur. That's why it's so strong. Everything is that you have to be fasting, because it's the day of the judgment to see if you're going to be innocent or guilty. If you deposited your sin in the sanctuary, then the priest passes those sins unto the true guilty one. They don't understand it, but I explain it to you, unto Azazel. There's a transferring of sins. So then on that day of judgment, you're freed. How did we do that? By confessing the sins of everyone, all of humanity, all together, all of the suffering, all of the pain. So then, you shall confess upon him all of the iniquities of the sons of Israel, the iniquities of the entire world, all of their rebellions, and all of their sins, placing them upon the head of the he-goat. And you shall send them into the desert, into nothingness, by hand of a destined man for this. And this is fundamental, I'll end with this. And the he-goat shall bear upon him all their iniquities unto the land. That he-goat bears all of the wickedness and the sin and of everything that has been done on this earth, of the entire world. And that he-goat shall bear upon him all the iniquities of them unto an uninhabited land, and should let go the he-goat in the wilderness. He's going to let him go. A kick in his ass. Don't ever come back. We don't want to see you anymore. This is all your fault. Once you understand the symbol of who Azazel is, who is Yahweh, then you understand it all. Everything has to be confessed upon the living goat, not the dead one on the cross. It's not the forgiveness in the cross, but rather the forgiveness is found in the one that does not die, in Yahweh that does not die. That Yahweh, everything is confessed upon him, saying, you are to blame for everything. That is the judgment. We issue judgment even by not understanding the word judgment until, well, we did understand it, because we had been speaking that the judgment we did was also against Yahweh. We had been understanding it. That is when he gave, we unlocked this new level in the game. Just like that, oh, you fulfilled that? Oh, you went up in level. Now understand this. What do I have to understand? That Yahweh is the intellectual author. Now blame him for everything. We unlocked that part and fulfilled it. So then, now, all that is left is that the one to blame, Azazel, to come, and before leaving into the desert to the non-activity, this Shabbat. Because it's so good in your mind if you understand that Yahweh said that in the seventh day he rested of all his work and blessed it and sanctified it. Who did he bless? He blessed the man with what? That man are the Messiah. It is the new God of the earth. And you've got the beast. He doesn't bless them. He blesses the man. He says, you will have dominion upon them. And on the seventh day, he rested. He's indicating to you inactivity. He is out of here. Not just for that day. He's gone forever. And he blesses whom? Man. Man and woman represent this group, which is hundreds of people, which will take the earth as the new God of the earth. And that is what is missing. So then don't lose hope, not in the very least. If anyone passes through the nefarious experience of dying and you're in the book, that book that Daniel chapter 12 says, that book of Daniel chapter 12, you're a part of this group. And if you're part of this group, you will be resurrected because you will deserve to be a part of this. Not those who didn't sign. No, those who signed. It says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. Who is that Michael? Michael is the one that is like unto God. And what does Michael represent? Michael represents the new God of the earth. It is the great new God, which is on behalf of the children of thy people, the people of the man, of everyone. And there'll be a time of anguish like never before, since there was people up until then, but at that time shall thy people be freed. All who are found written in the book. This is a language that is absolutely symbolic. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall be awakened. Some shall be unto everlasting life, and others unto shame and everlasting contempt. What does that mean? Who are those who are arisen? Those who are written in the book. That's the way it is, in a book. What is the book? Those who have placed the name of that in that book. They're judges. They have to be awakened. That the curses of Yahweh, he made them to go through the death. That's another story. They're judges. They have their name there. Then Michael, who is another name of the eternal truth, he goes and resurrects them who are a part of this, who are a part of that. Here's the book. Here is the book. Here is the book of whom? Of the judges. Because the judges receive the kingdom. No one else, mind you. No prophet receives the kingdom. None that has lived in other times receive the kingdom. No one, no one, no one. Moses doesn't receive the kingdom. Abraham does not receive any kingdom. Nothing. Those who receive the kingdom are the judges. So then, if your name is found in this book of Judges, then you have nothing to fear of dying. Because already by your name being found in that book will resurrect you. And I don't know if he doesn't place you already power to resurrect on that day. Those who have that power, when we receive that power, maybe they self-resurrect because they've already received the power. They're written in a book. They're in a special book. Now, is your found in that book? Then you have to check that. Can you add it? No. You can no longer add it. The judgment that we did unto Babylon, every name who signed on that judgment is there, and I have it. Now, in the second judgment that we did, the judgment unto the intellectual author, can you add your name there? No, not that either. You can't add your name there because that day was unique. We did judgment. Who agrees to sign that Yahweh is to blame for everything? The whole declaration that both Leslie and I read, and we imposed the hands upon nothingness itself because the guy didn't present himself. Because you have to bring him tied up, bound in a wheelchair. But it was the symbolism, but of course it was symbolism. Were you there and you signed? It was a unique occasion. Now, still, I invite you that if you have not signed, you were not present, now you have the opportunity of signing a different book, which actually is part of the same book, but they are adherents. What does it mean to be an adherent? I'm not the member who was there because I didn't know, because I didn't dare, because I'm just finding out now, and I understand all this, because it's for people who understand this, not for those who don't understand this, of course. And I want to sign as if I am 100% in agreement with what you did, 100% in agreement with what you did in the first judgment to Babylon unto the material author of the acts. But there is an author that obligates you to do all those things, that inspires you to do all those things, that commands them to do all those things, which is the intellectual author of the acts. So then in the Yom Kippur of the year 2024, we did the judgment against the intellectual author. You lost that opportunity, but now you have another of saying, I support both things you did. I want to be an adherent part of this, so then I invite you to add your name below this video and say, I place your name. Adhere myself, and I want to be a part of the judgment that the eternal truth did unto Yahweh and unto Babylon. And I want you to add my name in the book of adherence because I am entirely in agreement with what I heard today. I am completely in agreement that Yahweh is the one to blame and intellectual author of everything. And to put your country of where you are from or where you live. Not where you're from, but where you live. So then, I need your name, I, so-and-so, that I live in this place, declare that I want to be a part of this group. And what adds you to this? Does it make you a part of what we believe that the Messiah is? I can assure you that yes. The order of things doesn't matter. But you add yourself to what the worldwide movement will be now. This is not that you're just going to support it and you're voting for us. No, you're not voting for us. We don't win by voting. We're never going to be voted for because the kingdom is ours. You're adhering yourself now before the kingdom and power is given unto us. Once the power is handed over, we no longer need any adherent because the whole world will adhere themselves as citizens but not as a part of the government. If those who add themselves now They are part of us at a level that it maybe doesn't matter. Don't pay attention to that. You didn't sign the judgment. You weren't there. You didn't sign the other judgment. You weren't there. But now you found this and you understand it. It means that you are a part of. Give me your name. I'll add it to that list. And you still have time. If you want to do so, you are invited to do so in this video or in the videos in which I speak. Well, there is time to add yourself, and that makes you a part of us, because we are an active group. We are a group that actually will change the world entirely. We are those crazies. Do you know it, my friends? And we really are crazy. We are crazy because we think that there's an eternal justice, that is called to rule the world. We are crazy because we think that all men are born equal and free. That the same as in religion, we could give a fuck about religion. And in politics, they have rights. We're going to destroy religion. We are crazy because we think that all the peoples are free and sovereign, and that there is no more legitimacy in the world than what proceeds of their wills. We are crazy because we think that the kingdom of reason shall come someday. We are crazy because we don't want to believe that the tyrants, the imposition, Yahweh, Babylon, infamy shall rule eternally upon the earth. That is why we are crazy, yes. And if that's why we're crazy, I am filled with pride of being crazy in that way. Crazy for LVE. Crazy and a fanatic for LVE. I become ennobled with the craziness of believing the way I believe. And I could give a fuck about the rest. That a grave has been dug for our tyrants already. That the freedom cometh. That the eternal truth cometh. That the saints of the Most High cometh, that the kingdom of the people will come. I like that one better, that a great epoch is about to begin. The greatest of all of them, the most glorious of all the epochs. And do you know why? They have a punishment of 1,000 years from the moment in which they are judged as living and die in Revelation chapter 20. You say we talk about the millennium, and they were resurrected, and those who weren't there, it was 1,000 years killed for 1,000 years, and after 1,000 years they came back to life. I don't want to take too much time with this, but it's 1,000 years as a punishment unto Babylon, because they are killed and they don't resurrect until 1,000 years later. Notice that 1,000 years correspond to one day. And notice that the punishment of Babylon is 1,000 years dead. Notice this very clearly, because that's 1,000 years. And those who die of Babylon, it's because they will die. They will die. They have 1,000 years of rest. But the same sentence goes for the intellectual author, 1,000 years too. 1,000 years. How much does it says that he'll rest? One day. One day. So then, we don't want to see him for 1,000 years. Later, if he comes near, maybe he comes near in other terms, not as the owner of the earth or the king of the earth, but as the one that gave us the earth, the creator. And there he comes not with wanting to rule or dominate or be God, but as just a visitor. But notice the punishment. I want you to bear this very clearly. The author, the intellectual author, same punishment as those who executed what the intellectual author would command them to do. 1,000 years for Babylon of death. They will not be resurrected before 1,000 years. They won't be so. But their intellectual author has to leave for 1,000 years entirely. Interesting, very interesting. Same sentence. Why those 1,000 years? Why Yahweh enters into the 1,000 years of rest? Because it is a sentence. He already knows that it is given him 1,000 years of sentence in the desert, in nothingness, away from us. Suck at the liberty's breast. You will always carry her within the heart. They may corrupt you, you may forget, but she is always there. The destiny is written. We've read it already in the prophecy. Our destiny is written. The end is inevitable. It is soon to happen. Even if we have to wait some more years. But this is on course. We're not waiting to see how it is fulfilled. We're already fulfilling this prophecy. God, the new God, the Son of Man, the group that rules and will rule the earth, which has receives authority, glory, and kingdom, are all Argentinian. That is why the entire Messiah is Argentinian, not of any other nationality, because the Argentinian is born where he wants to, and the Messiah, the new God of the earth, is Argentinian. Let the laurels be eternal that we knew how to achieve, crowned with glory, let us live. Or we swear, with glory to die. Let's go the eternal truth, Semper Fi. Let's go Boca. Don't forget, this Tuesday we play. Look, we could give a fuck if we lose because we have 6 points already. And then we're going to beat them at home. But if we beat them, oh, wow, what a feast. And the chickens continue to cry. You are of the bee. Don't ever forget, you're of the bee. Hallelujah to every one of you. I told you that we would not study Proverbs because that question, I liked it a lot. And I could not answer it just like that. And I really wanted to read it again. Daniel 7, a prophecy that we are living. And I want you to bear in mind, to not forget what you signed. And those who are new listening still have the chance that is unimaginable of being able to add yourselves to this group that did what they did. We shall meet again next Shabbat. We're going to eat milanesas with mashed potatoes. Hallelujah to every one of you.